the podcast that gives you what you paid to see. It's Whacked Out Wrestling. Hello, everybody. It's Whacked Out Wrestling. And by popular demand on this one, we have a big show on this one. I am your host, Thomas S.K. Green. With me, as always, is our stats man, John Roche. We have the OG Whacked Out Wrestling guy in Prince Moxley Lopez. And we have a special guest tonight in Metal Matt from the Violent Wrestling Podcast and the Ruthless Aggression Podcast.
Hello, everyone.
And this was pretty much a fairly normal week on these ones, where we have a few different things to start with, some tragedies on it. We have the tragic deaths this week of Les Thornton, Pedro Morales, and Jimmy Uso's career.
Gone but not forgotten.
Yes, of course. Pedro Morales is obviously going to be a regular person on the Afterlife Wrestling Federation. Les Thornton will probably get some thoughts in the European regional on it. And from the other stuff on it, Jimmy Uso apparently tried to attack cops and went through after his wife either got, depending on these ones, could have gotten anything as low as a DWB or as high as was drunk and went on the wrong way on a one-way street. Considering Naomi was not arrested, we can assume it probably just went the wrong way and was lost.
Yeah, and I've been stone cold, and this was at night. I've been stone cold sober, broad daylight, and went the wrong way on a one-way street before. It happens.
Yeah, it's probably those ones, but it's probably not a good idea to get out of the car and try to attack the cops. If that's the case.
Yeah, two different situations we're referring to. Like Naomi's is a legitimate mistake. Jimmy's, dude, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah, because this would be a common mistake anyway, because everyone's been there where they go the wrong way on a one-way street, and not everyone's going all over the country where you're not familiar with the area. It's perfectly reasonable to think, okay, you don't really know your way around Detroit, you got onto the wrong street, it happens.
I did it in a town that I'd lived in for years. I knew it was a one-way street, and I just went the wrong way. Thankfully, no cops or anything, and so I went like a mile down, and there's no turnarounds. So I just backed up the mile. At least I was going the right way. It was just in reverse, and got back onto the street I turned from, and just kept going like nothing happened.
Mm-hmm.
But mistakes happen when driving, getting lost, especially not being familiar with where you're at, and especially Detroit's grid system is all kinds of fouled up.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna get to past Jimmy, not so much.
Yeah, and that would be one of the question marks on it, because this went with a lot of different problems that went through, and then you had other problems in this one where I have to apologize to the Big Brother fans for getting Eva Marie endeavored from the show this week. So, it was the other Tom Green. My mistake. Mm-hmm. But it was actually surprising on this one that Eva Marie actually proved she could do something of benefit. So
she's really good in the outset. She's a lot smarter than people give her credit for, especially like if you've ever watched Total Divas, or like I'm a Big Brother fan. Like she was so smart in the game that ended up costing her, getting her evicted. Like she was too good.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had to get rid of who would eventually win. Like if they didn't get rid of her, she was going to win.
Yeah, and honestly, it's one of those cases where even from the matches on it, people always give her crap because she couldn't wrestle on it, and she was a bad choice for those ones. And there's nothing wrong with being green and not being able to wrestle. My problem with Eva Marie was always simple. The woman could not act at all. And we know that there's not very good actors in pro wrestling. Like Ronda Rousey seems like a good actor, though we've seen in every movie she's been in, the woman cannot act at all. But Eva Marie seemed to go further than that, too. She acted like a comedy show with a bad actor where the joke is, look how bad this person is as an actor in real life. Like, everything she said was like this.
Did you just call it a Charlotte promo talking about Eva Marie?
No, Charlotte just had no examples of control over her voice. It's not bad acting, though, but it's just...
Shit. It's horrible acting, too.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as Eva Marie. Just not being able to even... Just being the parody of a bad actor.
Yeah.
Like, there's differences in bad acting for them. We're not expecting great acting on these ones. Like, the greatest actor we saw in a pro wrestling ring was Dwayne Johnson. And it's not like he's ever going to win an Oscar or something like that.
Here I am, guys.
And, oh, sorry about this, Mox, but you are not as big as the star as you think it is. This is about the WOW name. You've been replaced by our new person, Joey the Caveman.
I've been suspended? You're grounding me to my room where I have a satellite and games and phones and a laptop and stuff? Thanks.
I know. Your room has toys. You go to the garage.
The garage has adult toys. That's the problem.
Damn it.
Oh, shit.
SK stole what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Cool, the garage has the better toys.
Yeah.
What I missed, guys?
We just started up the show with this basic one, but it worked that you were out for those things. So we're actually starting up the show on this one as a full one. And going into this one, we have Raw tonight, and it starts out with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon starting to talk about the Elimination Chamber and going through, starting up the prep for Ronda Rousey versus Ruby Riott, which was the only time on Raw this week that they mentioned that Ruby Riott's facing Ronda Rousey, and talked about Becky Lynch. And this time, to their effect, they stopped the you can't wrestle because your knee's not good on this one. And instead, they decided to say, no, you will have to apologize to us if you want to wrestle. Because somehow they make it even worse than just, you have a knee injury and we may not clear you.
Was I watching Raw that night or fucking Barney and Friends with that comment? I mean, you know, oh, you gotta apologize to do it. I felt like I was watching Barney and Friends when I was back in kindergarten.
Barney's the devil, sir.
1985. 1985.
I mean, today is Valentine's Day. Today is Valentine's Day, so I love you, you love me. We're
Somebody
a happy
shoot
family.
Matt fucking please.
Yes. We remind you because it's Valentine's Day, we love you. But
I love you!
But that does not mean we like you. And that is our bad impression of brother love to try and get people to think that we're something to wrestle.
Right.
And then it goes for a triple threat. Team that takes the fall enters the chambers first of Boston Hug, Nia Jackson, Tamina, and Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. And you have Bayley and Sasha saying they're going to win because they had an unbreakable year. And Nia and Tamina promising to win because they're Samoans. They forgot that Tamina is from Fiji.
Right.
Yeah.
So
anyway, I mean, Sasha and Bayley win, but I'm kind of scared that with the booking going on and Bayley having to carry them, I'm scared that this could wind up like Strikeforce, where one turns heel and the other and claims that he had to carry them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think that Bayley or Sasha Banks will wear a big pin saying, "Yes, I am a model," though.
I don't know. I mean, Sasha basically is called the boss. She's like one step away from being that.
I don't know. She still does that one, but she doesn't do enough to prove it on this one. The feud with Ronda Rousey showed it. I mean, how can we expect her to be the boss if she doesn't chop her balls off and die?
Oh, jeez. But yeah, I mean, I would think that I hope they really don't split up. I mean, they're good as a team. They should never split up. I'm predicting it's either going to be Sasha and Bayley or the Iconics winning the belts.
Yeah. Honestly, that's
good choice.
Yes. And in defense there is the plus that there is questions of whether there was a spoiler this week with the Iconics sending out the email of watch us go from BFFs to tag champions. And usually there's no question mark for is it a spoiler or not, but when they do we're pretending that these people sent you this form letter from WWE on it, but it is kind of convenient that they choose a low-card team like the Iconics to send out that message instead of someone like Bayley and Sasha Banks.
Do they have the belts or something on the picture or whatever?
They don't have the belts on it, but if you're signed up for emails from WWE, every so often for a big event, they'll claim that a wrestler sent one of the video emails to you. So
okay,
and usually it's a big main eventer or a big star on it. So
right,
it seems kind of convenient they used a low card team like the Iconics there.
right.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes, I am.
And that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Heyman.
Yep. But that also goes to the weird thing with Bayley and Sasha Banks, where they're a great team. They work perfectly as a unit for it. But the biggest weakness is always that so many people seem to want, okay, we want Bayley and Sasha Banks to break up with each other and have a feud and fight forever because they had a really, really good match in Brooklyn. And it's almost taking away from them as a truly good team because everybody just wants them to say, okay, boring, feud now. Give us some more matches like Brooklyn.
Right.
Can we just have Nia and Tamina go do Harry Met Sally Dumb and Dumber remake and call it Slow and Slower and just get them off my TV for a long time?
But then I'd have to watch them in the movies and stuff like that.
You might have to. I damn sure don't.
Mm-hmm.
What if they what if they just in about 10 years made a Bad Moms sequel with them all?
Honestly, that would probably be pretty much straightforward. Though I think that would require them actually having more people keep their job if they got pregnant. So,
eerily enough, like on Bad Moms, Catherine Hahn looks like Allison Kay / Sienna.
Yep.
Well, and you would have to keep in mind they're so damn slow. It would take them about 10 years to film a movie. Like most people could do in a week.
Had WWE characters in.
Mm-hmm.
Can Harvey Wippleman and the Brooklyn Brawler be their boyfriends?
Oh God!
Hey, who are you to doubt Harvey?
Oh wow! I've got a bad feeling about this, guys.
Don't worry about it. This is what happens with WoW. So.
No, I meant this match.
Yeah. Honestly, the one plus on this one is that they're trying to start Nia Jax fighting the men, so I don't think that Nia Jax and Tamina are winning the match. Although even though I will not say I'm a fan of Tamina in any way, shape, or form, it would kind of make sense on it if they did, because she's been in the company for 10 years, and the unwritten rule is, and it'll go some further on SmackDown, of if you're a 10-year veteran in a company, you deserve to have made it to the top of the mountain at least once. So
she can use the belt as knee braces.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
I thought she was holding on for 5. When did she start?
She made her WWE debut in 2009. So
What was her name then?
What?
What was her name then?
Tamina.
Yeah, she's always gone by Tamina Snuka.
Oh,
Tamina.
Nia Jax. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Back when she was using the Usos in their intelligent hip hoppers days. Back when they were going with some regular things and going.
Basically, when the Usos dressed like and acted like Carlton Banks.
Yes.
Speaking of Nia, has anybody checked to see if she's made it out of the ring yet?
Possibly.
Damn, son.
mean, well, good God, it took her forever to get in and out of the ring. I'm still not sure she's made it all the way out of the ring.
Okay, who's slower, her or Yokozuna right before he left WWF?
Dude, Yokozuna looks like Quadre Ismail compared to Nia.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, because Yokozuna at least was a big fat dude, but he still was always agile for a big man. Similar to guys like Mabel. But Nia Jax is just slow.
I gotta say something. I mean, I remember in science class in high school, they asked us to draw a picture of excretion. You know what I drew?
What?
I drew Yokozuna on the bathroom, taking a shit and having a beer in his hand. I put Yokozuna after a match.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that was very detailed.
What kind of high school did you go to?
Well, I suck at drawing, so I just drew like a shitty. So I drew like the shittiest picture that there was, but yeah, I mean, I don't know why they asked us to do that, so I just decided to think outside the box. I just drew Yokozuna having a beer, sitting on the commode taking a shit. I figured, what the hell?
My teachers knew better than give me that assignment, because I would have given a 3D example.
Yeah. I would mock that, but considering that one of my best science class results in high school was getting some people together to clone Charles Atlas so everyone could have sex with him, that was, I can't really talk.
What the fuck? Go into detail.
Seriously, you cannot drop that and not follow up on it.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
It was an alternative school, and there were a lot of Rocky Horror Picture Show fans on it, and that's basically the plot of the movie. So,
fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, I mean, God, and now speaking of Charles Atlas and Rocky Horror Picture Show, God, I'm blanking on the movie, but it was I think it was something about the Wallflower or something. And I was gonna say Mae Whitman played artsy fartsy chick that was in a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and she I was just thinking of her.
Her?
Mae Whitman, the actress. I forget the movie was. She was playing she played an artsy fartsy student, and it was.
He's telling you the name of the movie.
That was a Wallflower.
Wallflower, I think it was.
What was it?
The Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah, that was it.
Because you said Wallflower, and I figured that was probably it.
Student, and she was big in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That just popped in my mind.
Yeah.
It's funny how
we get downloads on YouTube, folks, but in this moment, I swear we are infinite.
Strange how she started out as the voice of Little Susie and Johnny Bravo.
Yes. And then let's go from the next one with Becky contemplating whether she has to say or she's sorry on this one, which helps on her work using the leather jacket to try and become the Fonz. As Finn Balor.
Now Now that's just...
Thankfully, Becky's not Canadian.
Yep. And then Finn Balor comes up to her and talks about how Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush were giving him problems. He knew she'd do the right things, and Becky thinks about this, but still realizes that he has nice abs. So,
bitch boy Bobby, bitch boy Bobby.
Yep. Hopefully that'll get over more when TNA eventually loses Eddie Edwards to WWE like they lose everyone else. So.
Yeah.
Do they even have any of their original guys, or at least their noteworthy guys left?
Honestly, it's pretty much interesting on it, where I was seeing that they had questions of all these achievements that were not possible anymore in their games from things, and I realized that TNA Impact, the game, only has 2 people on the roster left from that game in 2008. So.
Who are they?
Hernandez
Petey.
and Petey Williams.
Yeah, I was gonna say Petey's. Fuck
yeah.
Hernandez, so I don't really. But Petey Williams came to mind with the original question of.
Did Homicide get released?
Actually, Homicide might still be there with the OG.
I was gonna say he was teaming up with Hernandez. Last time I thought they were feuding with LAX.
Yeah. So it's still 3 people of a game of 25 people beforehand, and considering one of the achievements was play against a TNA wrestler, that's a question mark. And then we have an Elias concert, but instead of giving us an Alliance concert, we get a video about Seth Rollins.
That was so weird the way that they positioned that.
Yeah. Honestly, it's a question mark on this one, because you have to keep Seth Rollins in people's minds if there's a chance that his back injury won't let him wrestle at Elimination Chamber or Fastlane.
Well, apparently he's already out of Elimination Chamber, and he's been taken off promotional materials for Fastlane.
When did he get a back injury?
Sometime before the Rumble.
Yeah.
From trying to carry Raw for 6 months.
Right.
Yeah. Well, of course they can just replace him with Charlotte Flair, so it'll be no problem.
Boo!
I was like, he's the architect, but he threw out his back trying to build stuff.
Yeah.
So
that's why
we'll think about letting you finish the podcast, but first you're gonna have to apologize to us for saying that shit.
Yeah, sorry.
See, that was too easy.
Mm-hmm. But
you must be like half Canadian.
So it's easier for me to apologize earlier, so.
Excuse me.
But then they go with more playing with Elias, and then we have Lucha House Parties showing up. Man, I can't imagine why they had to turn him heel and get so many great storylines from this. And Elias complains his album wasn't nominated for a Grammy, which, honestly, what you think that he gives a damn? Half the critics can't even stomach him, let alone stand him.
All right, Eminem.
Right. What if you win? Wouldn't it be weird?
Mm-hmm. And Kalisto,
now I need Elias and Elton John to perform at the Grammys.
Yes.
Who the fuck won the Grammys anyway?
Who the fuck cares?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the pluses with these newfangled music with their new ideas.
Chris Cornell won a Grammy.
Mm-hmm. Ah.
Who?
That just has problems with these old
Cornell.
New ideas.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But then we have the new band as Kalisto wants to walk with Elias, and they start a song about being in Grand Rapids. Kalisto plays the guitar and gets an acoustic equalizer. Which
I'm impressed with how well Kalisto played the guitar.
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, do an about face or do something, make an impulsive decision and basically make him El Desperado, the WWE's version of El Desperado.
Yeah.
El Desi.
And well, to be fair, Kalisto probably pulled a kiss and did a backing track.
Yeah.
What
Plus,
do you mean? What do you mean?
Because people are accusing Kiss of using backing tracks on their latest tour, their so-called
backing
farewell tour.
But
What do
it's
you mean?
basically
It was recorded?
it's like lip syncing for a rock band.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But it would be a little bit different because, again, with Kiss, everybody's aware that they suck, but they're so good at marketing and they're so good at the feel of a rock band that it doesn't matter that musically they're not very good.
I argue that they actually got better in the 80s when they took the makeup off, yet everyone wants to throw things at me when I say that.
People want to throw things at you just to throw things at you, to be fair.
Damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I basically got Gilletted for the last couple of weeks because of my comment.
Yes.
Oh, what comment did I miss? I've got to know. Inquiring minds need to know.
Well, basically, I was just making a comment about, I made a comment about how it would have been funny if, Paige got pranked, with her movie, and they showed her nude videos on the Titantron.
And the obvious result is no, it would not. That is a very bad thing.
Yeah, I was just being a smart ass.
Yep. Remember.
I'd say go to the garage, but you might like that too much.
Remember, this podcast is sponsored by Gillette, the best that men can be. And so then you go to Bitch Boy Bobby and Leo Rush coming to the ring, and they just cut them off by Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose talking about the Elimination Chamber, which was probably a good idea. I mean, Sonya and Mandy do look more like money, smell more like money, and it would be much better to see them talking about it.
I'd ask how you know what they smell like, but that's another story.
Well, you assume that they smell like money.
Or at least like roses.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Roses really smell like doo-doo.
Did they go to Mandy and Sonya?
Yeah.
Oh,
hey guys,
okay.
Hey guys, an opinion question, and excuse me, me and Tommy talked about this a long time ago, but buy or sell this? Mick Foley's Dude Love character was Vince trying to make Austin Powers. Buy or sell?
Was a pretty random one, but I think it's absolutely a buy. I mean, it was kind of obvious it was Austin Powers in a WWE ring.
I'm going to sell that because that was a persona Mick had well before Austin Powers.
I'm saying how WWE did it.
Oh.
Right.
Randy, baby. Absolutely Randy.
Mm-hmm.
I can sort of see that. I mean, like, I think like the getup was one that he used in some video that he was in.
Yeah.
Where he, like, jumped off his garage or something.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like it was absolutely Mick's character in the beginning, but they probably let him do the character because Austin Powers was so big, if you will.
I just wish they would have gone with the gimmick rather than, like, leave it and then turn him heel and feud with Austin. I just think they could have did a little more with it. Hell, you know what I would have loved to have seen? A Dude Love versus Shawn Michaels feud.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I think Shawn Michaels was getting problems because he was too much Dude Love in himself, so.
Right.
And they even have, like, in that sit-down interview that Mankind did with Jim Ross, he says that I wanted to be like Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
And Shawn Michaels, he says, like, is this the way you always pictured yourself? And I think it did feel like they were sort of trying to kind of make a feud, but it just never really happened.
Right.
Yeah. I do want to say something. There is one problem with the theory that Vince based it on Austin Powers.
What's that?
This is Vince McMahon we're talking about. He didn't know what Pirate Paul Burchill was supposed to be.
But in defense, when you say that good point, this was the time when Vince Russo was his head writer, and Vince Russo absolutely would watch something that's big on TV or in the movies and make a character out of it.
Vince McMahon is probably just now seeing Austin Powers.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really the difference, because Vince McMahon probably just now saw Austin Powers, but you could absolutely buy that Vince Russo probably saw Austin Powers in theaters.
Right. Of course, it probably means we're going to see him turn Aleister Black into Goldmember.
Mm-hmm.
I love gold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name names, but we have a fat bastard right there.
Wasn't there a rumor like a couple of years back that there was going to be a fourth Austin Powers, but that never happened?
They've been trying to make that for like a decade now.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think that Austin Powers was pretty much the same as every good Mike Myers movie, where the first movie is absolutely amazing, then slowly but surely Mike Myers disappears off his own ass, and it loses any possibility of being good. Happened with Wayne's World, happened with Austin Powers, happened with Shrek. Luckily, Mike Myers disappeared up his own ass originally, so we didn't have to deal with it with the Love Guru, but it goes through there.
Right.
Although, in defense, I will say that I actually enjoyed that movie, but that might have been less because it was a good movie and more because I was in South Korea, and any English language movie you saw would be good there. But then you go to Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre, and this was just more angle than match anyway, because it was just Bitch Boy Bobby and his man pimp Leo Rush tried distracting him and letting McIntyre beat him. And it just went pretty much straightforward there. McIntyre didn't get the fall, so it was a DQ, so it was a plus on that one, and they're protecting him, even though just from going to the NXT show this Sunday, I'm not entirely sure that Drew McIntyre has top star potential anymore.
Which is sad.
On their log with them.
Yeah. Well, it was more the fact that with this one, the Kingston show is usually the biggest arena, closest thing to an arena that NXT goes to, and their first show at that arena was sold out completely. Got people like Balor, Bayley, that era. This show with people like Ciampa, Gargano, etc. It wasn't sold out, but it was pretty close to it. The second show with Drew McIntyre on top, you could count the people in the stands, and that is just not good for Drew McIntyre having top star potential there.
So it's kind of like New Generation era when WWE was on a downswing.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just not a very high show, and that's kind of a question mark of, can Drew McIntyre be a big star on it?
Right.
Probably be the question of Drew McIntyre being the Joe Flacco of, is Drew McIntyre elite? And in WWE.
Flacco got traded.
Yes. And that was a
problem.
Could have been. And it was a problem he got traded to the Broncos and not the Jaguars, so he could know, is Joe Flacco the elite? The elite?
I blame Dolph Ziggler.
Yes.
Sir, we already knew the answer to that question.
Yes.
But the rewind just a little bit. I know one's Scottish, one's Irish. But now I want Finn Balor to grow his hair out and Drew and Finn to do Dr. Evil Mini-Me. I still call him Mini-Me.
Yes.
Or you could always have Drew McIntyre, a fat bastard, and he could be like, "Get in my Kelly!"
Very good one. And it's just the pluses where it's on the one benefit on it, where you have to say that Drew McIntyre is smarmy heel bastard is a lot more of a star than babyface. Hey everybody, indie wrestling is awesome. Drew McIntyre was, so that's also a book.
Matt hit on a very quick but a very good point. He said it off the cuff, but I'm pretty sure he kind of meant it as well. He blames Dolph Ziggler, and he has a very valid point.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely mean it. Like, even when they first teamed up, I was like, really? You're placing these two together?
That I could absolutely see on this one, but it's also kind of weird because with Ziggler, I was talking before the call-up even for McIntyre as a star.
Right,
so
right.
Ziggler wouldn't really help McIntyre as an NXT top guy, so.
True, but man, I was.
Although,
but when your call up includes either teaming with or feuding against Dolph Ziggler, shit, good luck with that.
Yeah.
I like my idea. Well, I keep saying this. They should just reset Dolph Ziggler, have him do an amnesia angle, and he wakes up and he believes he's his Southpaw Regional Wrestling character.
Honestly, it would probably be better than Dolph Ziggler right now, so.
You know, Nikki Von Sticks or whatever it was.
Or even better, he can go back to one of his first gimmicks.
The caddy for
Kenny, Johnny, Mitch, Nikki, Mikey, and we are the Spirit Squad.
Or he can just, do stand-up full-time so I don't have to see his sorry ass.
Yeah. Yes, he must be bad at stand-up when it's been a few years and WWE won't give the guy a live special.
Mick fucking Foley got a special.
Yeah.
Mick Foley.
Foley's style is just like David Sedaris. He just reads great stories from his books, and it works because they're great stories.
Right.
It's basically he should have learned from AJ Lee on it for his stand-up career. Talent is not sexually transmitted. Although if he was with Amy Schumer, talent may not have been there either, but still.
Amy Schumer's actually cute, though.
But then we went from that match to Baron Corbin, Lio Rush, and Drew McIntyre versus Kurt Angle, Finn Balor, and Braun Strowman.
I think Lashley was in that, not Leo.
It looked like Lashley was. Oh, it might have been. So
it was Lashley
in
that match.
Must have been a mistake then on these ones. So, but this one kept going and going
and going
and going
and going and going.
41.
It's still going.
You have 10 people on the roster either asking for their release, leaving, or being pissed off, and you give this match 41 minutes. What?
That Raw and Nia is still trying to get out of the ring. Those things are still happening from Monday.
Yeah.
That and Sony's PS4 press conference.
Jeez.
Yeah. This was just not very good. Not good time management here. It was, there's some things that you have to do there, but no one cares about these storylines for it. You have Balor versus Lashley. You have Strowman and Corbin, and Angle and Corbin and McIntyre, but that's not a 41-minute match storyline.
No.
Yeah, and the formulaic of a go-home show and either it's a tag team or a six-man, like, they're going to fight Sunday, let's put them all together. Like, that shit just annoys the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be a big event, and sometimes, I know in go-home shows, they sometimes have them in tag matches, sometimes it comes off well, sometimes it doesn't, but, if you just really should sometimes just keep them away from each other, just have them jaw jack until the big show. I think this was one of the cases that's what they should have did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and this was just, it was solid, but it went on way too long. The time management was done by Andy Reid here. It wasn't very good.
Damn.
Did Mojo
Oh yeah.
promo?
Sorry, the Kool-Aid Mr. Kool-Aid reference. Sorry.
Did Mojo have another promo this week?
I don't know off the top of my head, so don't think.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Those two promos have low-key been pretty good. I didn't know if he had a third one.
Yeah. Instead of giving him a promo, they gave a promo to Kevin Owens talking about how he was in at a bowling alley and how he was going to be back in a month to go to Raw or SmackDown, which is a question mark because wasn't he fired and banned from SmackDown just a year ago?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, he and Zayn should... The logical thing is him and Sami Zayn come back and attack Bitch Boy Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
I thought weeks ago when Owens fought Bitch Boy Bobby, it was going to be a double turn how it was going, and why not just carry the momentum to that? Like Owens and Zayn come back and attack Lashley, setting up Owens fighting Lashley for the Intercontinental title, and Zayn could be the guy to counteract Lio Rush.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I just booked that for you.
Yeah. It could actually,
I think that was the direction they were going as far as the double turn, and then Owens, with the injury and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And why not go back to that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like, and that's a problem with them of, like, say with injuries. Well, say with injuries, they're leading up to the story, get right to the cusp of it, injury happens, so they completely reset instead of continuing the story most of the time. Sometimes they actually follow through, but it's like you read all of chapter 1, you're getting towards the end, you're in a field, having a picnic, the wind blows, and instead of getting to chapter 2, like you have to start it all back over at chapter 1.
Yeah.
Like another
considering both of them did get injured by Lashley, it would make a good storyline there. Heck, you have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both going after Lashley. A good way to turn him face and being badass. Heck, you can even have the fun of Lio Rush trying to mac on Lashley's sisters.
Yeah. And I mean, on top of that, you're talking about another angle. You wanted to talk about another angle that was like how you described Mox, the Jason Jordan, Kurt Angle storyline. Allegedly, they were planning on turning Jordan heel and having them fight at last year's WrestleMania, which I think would have been a mistake. I think they should have I think along with Sasha and Bayley, Jordan and Angle should never split up. Hell, I was thinking Jason Jordan was going to come back and help Kurt Angle fight McIntyre and Corbin. And, but apparently they're going with Braun Strowman helping them out.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like they do it far too often, and that goes back to the if there's about to be a pay-per-view, they do one of two things, like never seems to fail. Put the good guys versus bad guys in a multi-man match, or competitors as a team. Let's see how they can coexist. That shit is so... sometimes, like, the match itself sometimes can be good, but the doing it so much is just so irking.
Yeah. And it's worse when you don't even know if they'll even make the pay-per-view on these ones for this. It just seems to have no answer, which was much like Becky having no answer at this point for what she would do with whether she could say, I'm there on it. But then
we thankfully she's not Canadian, because she would have... Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then we continue the video on the March on Washington as proof of WWE's viewpoint of Black History Month, we remind you that 20 years ago, the head of the WWE in the future, the person who's going to run it, was doing blackface on television.
Roddy Piper?
Triple H.
Oh, Triple H. When did Triple H? Okay, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, and
I remember. I was just
Badass. Yeah.
I was thinking about. Remember when Roddy Piper was doing Bad News Brown? He did that half white, half black.
Yes.
Yes.
I started. You guys know me, where I don't like stirring the pot, so I'm usually pretty quiet. If I'm comment or say something on Twitter or whatever, usually I try doing positive things. But I started to do a tweet yesterday. I had a wild hair at my ass. So, only in WWE will you have a publicly traded company with an executive vice president, a head writer, like people up in the company not getting just thrown under the bus for doing blackface.
Yes.
With all this stuff going on in Virginia and whatnot.
Right.
Like they seem to, like, it's out there. It's just, it's not.
What was
I don't want to say brought up enough. It's just not like and when, like, it's brought up amongst us fans, but like mainstream, like you have an executive vice president of a publicly traded company who did blackface 20 years ago, and no mention of it anywhere.
Well, not even those ones. Like, even with all the news in Virginia on this one, just last week, Lacey Evans put out a picture of her putting her daughter in blackface and on her Instagram, and no one paid attention to it, even in the wrestling fandom. Like, I think we're
selective offending. Sounds like, people are selective about what offends them and what doesn't, or they only are offended by what's convenient.
Yeah, it's also one of those ones where
I'm saying, like, Mox is right. I mean, people should, if people are gonna complain about the Virginia guy, yeah, I agree. Like, we should. I mean, they should be speaking out about Triple H doing what he did, and I mean, you can't have it both ways.
Exactly, and it really does go with it, where there's a lot of problems that WWE does with these ones as they keep going with Black History Month, like we'll see on SmackDown how this would be the first time that we have a chance for a fully black WWE champion. That's just disgusting after 60 years of WWE.
And I didn't mean to, like, open a can of worms on the podcast or anything, but
no problem.
Just a thought I had, and I even had it typed out, and I just discarded the draft because I didn't want to.
Don't worry, this
it's just something that
cans of worms get opened. So
yeah,
just something that runs through my head, not just yesterday, but like all this crap. And yes, it does get mentioned here or there, but like not in a broader, more non-wrestling based
right. Let's
media kind of thing.
19.
Yeah, it's just it just seems weird on it. Where I think a big reason for it would be that all the fans who would make the outcry on that don't want to make an outcry that's going to wipe Triple H out of the thing, because they're expecting Triple H to save the WWE. So
right,
yeah.
Again,
and I'll just go ahead and say it. There's some. I hate putting myself out here like this, but there's some. Is double standard the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Who you call out and why you're calling them out.
Hey, if it weren't for double standards, some people would have no standards at all.
Exactly.
So, and I'll let that be. I just wanted to.
Well, I mean, just yeah, it's you know, I see your point there. I think it's not right, but I mean, you can't just. I mean, exactly what you said about people want Triple H around. So why is Triple H able to get away with it, but not the mayor of Virginia or the governor of Virginia?
Mm-hmm.
And then that just escalated all the way to the person underneath him, and then like all three ranking members of Virginia have been found in blackface. Like,
right.
Wow, Virginia.
Wasn't Ernie Ladd the champ at one time, or am I mistaken?
Somebody? No, he was never WWE champion.
Okay, I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, the only person with black blood in them who's WWE champion is The Rock.
Mark Henry was ECW champion. Do we count that?
ECW champion and World Heavyweight Championships had black champions, but they're never really considered that one on it because of it.
Right.
Although it does go with the same question that always happens on this one, where if one of the problems with it is Booker T being seen as not counting for his 2006 world title reign in it.
That's bullshit.
But at the same time, Booker T was seen as the biggest problem because of the WrestleMania 19 match with Triple H, which was one of the most disgusting things in WWE history.
Yes.
But he was fighting.
And it didn't have to be. Like the promo leading up to it.
Yeah.
Is Triple H a racist, a known racist, or?
Honestly, it's kind of complex because this is a guy who does use the Iron Cross as a motif as his trademark on this one, and did have the black face and the promos against Booker T on it, but at the same
time, move is called the pedigree.
Yeah.
But that goes back to when he was Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the rich blue blood.
Yeah, and that's not so much a racist thing as much as those ones. But at the same time, you also have cases like he has stuff like he made Big E the champion in NXT, so it's not like he ignores that.
I mean, honestly, like Triple H, when he became Triple H, went away from the blue blood and he was part of DX, he was coming off especially when he evolved into Triple H the Game, it seemed like to me he was coming off as more of a metalhead, like a real metalhead versus a racist. But I would say the Iron Cross, for example, but I didn't have no idea what it meant until years later.
Yeah.
But then I see all this stuff, like he come out look with all this medieval stuff. I mean, is it possible?
I don't think Paul Levesque
much into this.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think so.
I think his metalhead stuff does help on it because it's pretty clear that Triple H probably didn't go with the Iron Cross because he was a Nazi, but rather because he thought that Motorhead was really cool, and Motorhead used the Iron Cross.
Yeah, and I mean, look at his entrances where he did he came out as a king, from ancient times. I mean, those entrances he did at WrestleMania were fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's had some of the best entrances in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think Paul Levesque, I don't think he's racist at all.
Paul Levesque isn't racist. I think he's misunderstood.
Yeah, I think most of the stuff, again, it's less that he has racist views and more the fact that he worships Lemmy, which is perfectly fine because everyone should worship Lemmy. So.
Yeah,
Lemmy is a god, so that's perfectly acceptable to worship him. But they were also friends. They were really close friends.
I like 80s metal, and I like gangster rap as much as 80s metal. So what does that make me?
Normal?
Alec?
Man with very diverse tastes.
Yes.
Dude, I listen anything from Marty Robbins and Hank Williams Sr. to Tupac to, I mean, you name it.
How about Frank Sinatra? How about Frank Sinatra? How about the 50s Big Bopper era?
Yeah, that's what I grew up on was
I came
Cookies.
in last night about 10:30. My lady, mine wouldn't let me
Oh,
in.
sweet Lord. I grew up on that stuff. But anyway, that's like always. We digressed, but
Yeah.
I just
Good times. Good times.
Yeah. But going back to the show, you have the 41-minute match going to Ruby Riott versus Nikki Cross. Oh wait, it's also Ronda Rousey getting in Becky's face to say that it was bigger than two of them and that Becky needed to man up and apologize, even if she doesn't mean it. We remind you, this is
your top female face, everybody, who encourages people to lie.
Yes.
What are you saying, Tom? We remind you that
this match is ostensibly for Ronda Rousey's #1 contender this Sunday. And it just doesn't work for this one because they cut away from this one. You get the same storyline, and then you have Ruby Riott randomly beating the person who they ostensibly were supposed to make a big deal of because she debuted on the show a couple weeks ago at completely random and throw in stuff.
didn't they cut this match 3 times? Into this match 3 times?
Yes. And that's just not good on this one. Where one thing that's a plus is that at least they're trying to say that, yes, Ruby Riott may have a chance on Sunday, but not during this one. It's just not good. And then we have Seth Rollins.
I'm just amazed. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just amazed that Nikki Cross had all this hype and basically they just threw it down the toilet.
Well, yeah, honestly, that's one of the problems where the good thing about this show is it seems to be the end of this new era. The fans are the authority. We'll do what you want, and just keep going on it. Where they just said, "Okay, this is what it is. Back to normal."
And see, I'm going to say it one more time. When they did the new era, we are the authority. Give them time to the Rumble. That didn't turn out so well.
Yeah.
Okay, now give them time to the Elimination Chamber. That's not quite turning out so well. But I'm still holding out hope. Do I have to go all the way to give it to WrestleMania? Because I try being an optimistic kind of person, but for everything
So you're
holy.
holding out for a hero in the morning light.
You, God dang it.
Mox,
or are you holding out for a euro?
Whacked Out Wrestling. We have the meats.
Separate sandwiches.
Where's the beef?
But then we go to Rollins talking about the last 12 months and culminating at the Royal Rumble, where it starts with him going with a 65-minute show in a gauntlet match for the Elimination Chamber. And he keeps getting momentum until he finally wins the Rumble. And then 6 F5s to him. And he gets back up from, which we won't ignore that he won't be at Elimination Chamber, the fast lane for this. And he says WrestleMania might be the last match of his career. And if it is, WWE is fucked.
Is it?
I didn't know he was facing Nia at WrestleMania.
Last match?
At least he claimed it might be, so.
Was he shooting or was it a work?
Probably
that bad.
Probably a work, we assume.
Yeah.
So.
It's a work. And I made a bad. Well, it wasn't really a bad joke, but I didn't know he was facing Nia at WrestleMania.
No, then
Nia, where careers go to die.
Yeah. And Heyman talks about how Seth assumes that all men are created equal. But you see, Brock Lesnar is a genetic freak. So that makes him 2 times that one. And then you throw Kurt Angle in the mix, and his chances drastically go down.
I was just waiting for Scott Steiner to come out and try to sort the math.
Yes.
The numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question. How the hell have they not released an I'm Just an Advocate shirt for Paul Heyman?
I'm surprised that they release everything else that Paul Heyman does for it in shirts, so it's surprising. And Rollins says that he's fine with it being a suicide mission for Lesnar, but he'll do what it takes to keep Lesnar from leaving as champion. And then Dean Ambrose comes out and randomly turns face by telling Rollins to slay the beast.
There's a report out there that
Hey, wait a minute.
Dean went out.
Ambrose turning face, was that before or after he fought EC3 for a second week?
This happened before he did, so.
Oh, and yet he was still playing heel later on in the show against EC3.
Well, EC3 is kind of weird if he's face or heel because EC3 is basically, he hasn't shown if he's a good guy, 1% member who does things for good people, or a bad guy, privileged, I'm better than you person.
We'll just call it like it is. He's Derek Bateman cosplaying as a Richie Rich bitch.
I could actually see that as what he is on this one because that's just the problem with WWE not exploring the room with him in NXT. He was a dynamic character in TNA and was very good in the role, but in WWE and NXT, he's just been, hey everybody, it's Impact star EC3, but he's in WWE.
Isn't that weird?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Which works for him to join Dude Love and his group as Gold member. But then after Ambrose's face turn, which apparently he lowered on this one because he was allegedly supposed to invoke Roman Reigns' name in the match, but refused to. You have EC3 versus Dean Ambrose, and then the Iconics talk about how winning the titles would be their coronation for them, which is more of the question mark where whenever they're not in character, they just seem like much better baby faces than heels.
And like I said about them, just go ahead and turn them into shampoo.
Yeah. I don't know if our younger audience in Metal Mat would know the reference, so.
But when they get soaked in water, they turn into cats.
Yes.
Wrong shampoo, but I'll allow it.
Yeah. And then we have just a random EC3 and Dean Ambrose match, which is weird where they have Dean win the match, which doesn't work because he suddenly turns face after months of it. He trades wins with EC3, even though he's leaving in less than 2 months. And if you're leaving in that short a time, you do the job on the way out. Even Dean Ambrose fans will say, yeah, Ambrose has got to lose, so it just is what it is.
Well, speaking of
Not
that,
every match, though.
on after that, what happened?
It's
talk about doing the job on the way out. Hint, hint.
Yes.
I mean, as long as it's not the EC3, then it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and that honestly is the question of, is Dean Ambrose secretly re-signing or open to re-sign it for it? So, because they let him be a face again. They let him have his win back. It could be possible he might even come back after this one. Or if he doesn't, AEW may not exactly get him. And if he does, he just takes some time off and come back to WWE. So
it's like I said last week, with Impact Wrestling, he could fit in with Ohio versus everything.
Yeah, he has a history with all those guys. He fit in perfectly as the enforcer for OVE.
And who's better to have as an Ohio representative than Dean Ambrose? I mean, he could stand in perfectly for Logan Paul. He seems like the kind of guy who'd say, hey, kids, want to see a dead body?
Yep.
Yep. And then you have Alexa Bliss show up and tell Becky not to apologize. And Becky says she knows she wanted the title shot, but Bliss says that you'll sold out, just apologize. Becky says, I'll do it and I'll sell out WrestleMania. So we still don't know what's going on there, and trying to make a badass way to say, yes, I'm sorry, Masters, who kept growing my paycheck.
I'll be in my room watching my TV, playing my video games on my laptop.
Yeah. And then they have the main event match of the Revival versus Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. And this match almost made it all work with a good 20-minute match that works as the villainous Revival finally get their heroic chance to make it to the top of the mountain and be champions.
And they did.
Yes.
6 months too late. Because they're rumored to be out too. So I'm wondering, with last week's promo with Ryder and Hawkins, I was talking about this last week. I'm wondering if this is going to set up Hawkins and Ryder getting a tag belt. Hawkins gets his first win, and it'll be for the tag team championships. Hell, I'd even go as far as say Hawkins will get the pin in that match if it happens.
That would be amazing.
Put it at WrestleMania.
Ryder has a feel-good moment. Hawkins has a feel-good moment. Yeah, okay, I can co-sign on this.
Yeah. And honestly,
except this time, let them have the titles for a while, not turn them over a day later.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's where we're going to run into a problem, John.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's also a question mark on this one, and this will go.
Or Joey, sorry.
And this will
go. I get them confused.
Same thing afterwards, because now we get to the main event of the show on it, and these two things don't seem connected, but they are very connected. As Becky Lynch comes for the decision, and they have Triple H and Stephanie get an apology for it. They come out. Becky needs to get her the consequences. Becky doesn't want to, and Triple H tells her ignore him and go to WrestleMania. Becky apologizes, says now she can go to WrestleMania. And Triple H is fine with it, Stephanie's fine with it, and Vince McMahon cuts him off. He doesn't buy it. Becky's suspended for 60 days. She's out of WrestleMania. Charlotte's in instead. And
we'll watch next week. I think next week or one of the next few weeks, they're gonna come back and come full circle, talking about how the fans are the authority, and eventually it's gonna turn into a three-way match. You watch.
Yeah, and it's because of this that because
we can just do a singles match. Becky and Ronda. Wouldn't that be awesome?
So,
but no, we have to do a triple threat. Because not only do we need to get more people into the main event, not only do we get to have more people on the card, we also need to make this as convoluted as we possibly can.
Damn, son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have the floor for your points on this storyline, Matt. So go with whatever you want to say on it.
I mean, at this point, I really don't have that much to say because at this point, when it comes to Becky's booking, I'm used to this crap by now. I really should have seen this coming, and part of me kind of did. Like, I knew that they could not resist putting Charlotte into this. There was no reason to have the authority involved in this storyline. There's no reason to have Charlotte involved in this storyline. It should just be between Becky and Ronda.
I tried showing you this in the fall of 2018, sir.
But apparently, booking a feud for 2 months, that's hard. That's really hard.
You know what they're doing, right? It's plain as day what they're doing. Besides, it's going to be a triple threat, and
could even be a fatal four-way with Asuka beating Becky Lynch for the belt. Has anyone thought of that? Throw Asuka in there, making a fatal four-way.
Honestly, if you're going to throw
Asuka has a championship.
Yeah, if you're going to
the winner gets both belts. If you're going to have the tag belts be what? If you're going to have the tag belts be like both brands, you might as well have the title be both brands too, so they can flip flop. So there you go.
Yeah. Personally, on it, I think if you're going to throw Asuka into the match on it, just go all out and just say, okay, the match is going to be a lumberjill match. Every woman in WWE and NXT is in this one, and it's going on last. So every woman in the company gets to say that they main evented WrestleMania, so everybody's stands are happy.
Pretty much,
But-
and that's what it feels like. Like,
Yeah.
I understand. I understand that it's difficult. Actually, you know what? No, it's not, because you know what you can do instead? You can do secondary feuds between now and WrestleMania. That's a great idea. Triple H, Stone Cold, No Way Out 2001. Like, you can do that. But they don't, because they think it's too hard. They are incapable of doing stuff that makes sense.
Matthew. Matthew.
Yes.
Paging Matthew.
Oh, yep.
Food for thought. Food for thought. Talking about secondary feuds and everything like that. Oh god damn it! I had a point and I just forgot it. I'm so sorry.
Okay, but
real quick, what I was saying, that it's plain as day what they're doing, and I let him gather his thoughts. His point, it's plain as day what they're doing, and it's, at least to me, what it comes across as. They are literally steering into Vince is out of touch, Triple H and Steph aren't, and they're Vince is the bad guy. Vince is again out of touch. He doesn't know what the fans truly want. Transitioning into.
Well, honestly, I don't even. I kind of see where you're coming from, but that's always been Vince. Like, even back in 2003, he would always say, "I do what I do for me."
True,
Like, he's
I get that, but we're at
from a kayfabe standpoint.
We're 16 later. We're literally at the point of Vince is about to do the XFL and stuff in 2020, and I think that's what we're getting here is it might not be an actual power shift per se, but
I don't think it will. Like, I know people say that because I know that's what people want. It ain't happening. It's just not.
But
happening. I'm sorry,
that's what
it's not
they're trying to. That's what they're trying to present on TV. Is see Vince. Everybody wants Becky Ronda. And here's Steph and Triple H, who everybody thinks is gonna help WWE in the booking and stuff. This is what the fans want. Here's the nemesis of what the fans want. That's exactly what they're doing. Everybody blames Vince, and they're steering into that.
Okay, I remembered what I was going to say. The WWE writing team, is it just Hollywood writers, or are there now wrestling writers with them?
I think that there are wrestling writers as well on it and Hollywood writers, but ultimately the problem with this one is everybody says, oh, don't give Hollywood writers a chance. Give wrestling writers, or better yet, give fans the chance, or better yet, give me the chance personally on these ones. But ultimately,
weeks ago you were talking about, like, isn't WWE trying to develop writers from NXT?
Well, I think the problem is that yes, but ultimately the problem is that as long as Vince McMahon rewrites the show 30 minutes before it airs, no matter who you get on this one, you could get Vince Gilligan and the guy from Community, whose name was on the tip of my tongue on these ones.
Dan Harmon.
Yeah. You could get them to do WWE right now, and it would still suck because Vince McMahon would rewrite their whole stuff. And that's ultimately the problem, where we've seen that Hollywood writers can do just as well as the wrestling minds on it. It's just that as long as Vince is rewriting things, it's not going to get a chance to.
Well, Mox or Matt, they were talking about how Vince is going to do the XFL and it's trying to be presented as a switch of power. What if it actually is?
That,
Well, honestly, I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Yeah.
I know that's what people want. I can understand why, but Vince to me seems like the kind of guy who will not stop until the day he actually dies.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't know.
he's going to have some say. Like, that's a given.
With today's science, they can find a way to resurrect him.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah.
There's a given that he's going to have some say. What's not a given, but it's always assumed or presumed, is his unwillingness to actually take a step back a little bit. And we know for a fact, in the last couple of years, he's not at every Raw, he's not at every live show, he's not at every pay-per-view where he's doing so he's already to some degree taken a step back that way.
Right.
So we can, I don't want to say safely assume, but at least have a train of thought of maybe we're and I'm in my vehicle and I'm using my steering wheel as a meter of like my hands all the way to the right of vents, and I keep moving it like midway,
Mm-hmm.
like we actually might be at that point of not Vince like throwing his hands up and okay, you guys run it. Like that's certainly not going to happen like that, but more of a let's see what you can do. Let's we've got especially with brand new TV deals that are locked in. Like okay, I got us this far. We got us this far. It's not unfathomable that Vince will let go of the reins more than he already has. You can tell to some degree he has when it comes to things like 205 Live and Triple H running that and
Right.
Yeah. And going back to these ones, since we gave Matt this point on the side of the Becky ones, it's basically the same point where I'm going with the counterpoint on these ones for the Charlotte stuff. And my answer on this one is, I'm going to go on a rant here myself. So,
Go ahead.
in 2014, we had the Yes movement, a movement where the fans had all they could stand and couldn't stand anymore. The WWE tried to put Batista in WrestleMania, and the fans rioted and said, "No, you will put Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania, and you do not get a choice anymore. We're taking over, and you're doing this." And it happened, and it was beautiful. And that happened because at that time, the fans didn't know they had any chance of getting what they want. It looked like it was going to be Evolution having a three-way match at WrestleMania 30 that no one wanted to see, and Batista being made the person to topple the Authority, which the fans didn't want to see because they put their heart into Daniel Bryan, and that was what they wanted. When they fought for that, it made perfect sense. And that ties into this one because how many people who were so angry that, but this match with Charlotte doesn't fit in kayfabe. It's not in the storyline. It has to go with Becky Ronda. Were cheering the segment before that when the Revival got their big heroic Raw Tag Team title win and finally made it to the top of the mountain, despite that whole thing where they're the bad guys and they're proud of being the bad guys and you were supposed to boo them. It goes back even to the Elias match on this one where it would have made sense if the Lucha House Party joined them because ostensibly they're the good guys, but The fans basically decided they were bad guys because they liked the Revival more. So, yeah, throw their Lucha House Party as Elias's groups there. And this ties into it because there just seems to be the ultimate problem in this one. With the Daniel Bryan situation, the fans didn't know they had a chance of getting what they wanted. It looked like they were going with Batista versus Randy Orton, and the fans were being ignored. And now you tie into this time. You have fans outraged that Becky Lynch was kicked out in place of Charlotte Flair, and people giving death threats to Charlotte Flair for the last few days, people being furious at it, threatening to cancel the WWE's network, can't not watch WrestleMania, all of these things on this one. And yet the biggest difference is every one of these people knows they're getting what they want in the end. Every person is perfectly aware, yes, Becky Lynch is going to be added to this match. It's going to be a triple threat match. It will have Becky Lynch in the main event with Charlotte and Ronda Rousey. And at this moment, Becky Lynch is more likely than not going to win the main event of WrestleMania. And people are still rioting about this. How fucking entitled you have to be to do this? This is the single most spoiled, entitled babies moment that the pro wrestling fandom has ever made on this. They know they're getting what they want at WrestleMania. They know there's about 11 to 20 more chapters of this story, and yet they're still whining because in Chapter 3, Becky Lynch had a little bit of adversity in the build when they know she's going to overcome the adversity. She's getting to the main event of WrestleMania, and she's going to win. I was going to ask Mox how Morris felt about this match because I think that he's a 9-year-old. So I think he's probably got a much more mature viewpoint on this one because this is like 2-year-olds having, and the Red Riding Hood went to the big bad wolf. Wolves are boring. Make it a monster. The big bad monster. Red Riding Hood's boring. Make it me. You go in and you see the monster and have him kill the monster. And it's like that. This is just, there's just too much spoiled, entitled natures of this one. This, you know you're going to get what you want in the end, and you're whining that there's a little bit of adversity in the middle of this. That is such a big problem. And going after Charlotte Flair, who has basically taken the weaknesses of both of them. Ronda Rousey is basically unwilling to be booed, so Charlotte Flair's willing to be the bad guy in this one for her. And Becky Lynch, who's a great wrestler, but is very grapple-fucking in hers and doesn't seem to have as good a sense of the moment inside the ring as one weakness, where Charlotte does at least have a sense of the moment. And you need a sense of the moment for the WrestleMania main event to make sure that you have that one moment that's going to be in WrestleMania's videos for years to come in this. This is a good moment for those things. And going for death threats to someone who is helping her best friend at least be the champion of the main event of WrestleMania and be a star, that is such fucking bullshit. This is, I can't even think of it. I'm ashamed to be a wrestling fan with how wrestling fans are acting over this. I kind of want Charlotte Flair to win at WrestleMania just to make the people whining about this unhappy for it. This was just terrible.
You know what? This is not just about wrestling. This is some signs of the times bullshit going on. I didn't even know Charlotte was getting death threats.
Yeah.
Over the booking.
Yes.
Yes.
Because people wanted to.
Well, I mean, like I said, this is sign. This is don't be on wrestling. This is sign of the times shit. We're in an era where social justice warriors will fight and bitch and moan over pronouns for transgender people. They will bitch and moan about all kinds of, trivial minutia type shit. So I mean, this is just something. We're calling transgenders, not calling their issues trivial, not calling them minutia, not necessarily calling them that, but the fact that people will bitch and complain about little things that really, in the grand scheme of things, don't mean nothing. It's absurd. This is not just a wrestling problem. This is a problem all across every piece and every circle of society.
If I may interject, real quick.
Go ahead.
And let's differentiate. For instance, Metal Matt with us tonight wanted a one-on-one match. At the same time, he's not doing death threats to Charlotte, and like he wanted just a one-on-one Ronda Becky match. You guys are talking about like the extremists that are absolutely out there and very vocal.
Yeah.
But there are some people that just wanted a one-on-one match.
Of course. And honestly, that also ties into the problem of making the storyline, Vince McMahon being out of touch and things like that, because if you did it in kayfabe just from the Royal Rumble on this one, you could make this make sense in perfect form on this one. Just by this form, okay, Becky Lynch was a last-minute replacement by the order of David Finlay in the Royal Rumble. She was not approved by the McMahons at the time, but she got into it for those reasons. Because Becky Lynch wouldn't do the McMahon's viewpoints there, she was being retroactively refused as the replacement for Lana in that match. And because she was in this case, that meant that the second place finisher, Charlotte Flair, gets to be in the WrestleMania main event, which makes sense for one on that one. And I'm sure Matt can vouch for this one as well. If you do that, suddenly there's a reason for Charlotte in this place. And the one other person that Becky Lynch eliminated in the Royal Rumble, Nia Jax, would have a perfect reason to say, hey, wait a minute. I probably would have eliminated Charlotte Flair if Becky Lynch didn't eliminate me. What about my shot? And all of a sudden, you've got a storyline where Becky Lynch has to topple Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, and Ronda Rousey to get to WrestleMania. By an astonishing coincidence, that would mean that Becky has to defeat the person who broke her face at Survivor Series, her longtime friend and rival, and Ronda Rousey, the person, and exercise all of her demons in order to make it to the main event of WrestleMania. That's a perfect story right there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point it out that what you said is completely agreeable, but I didn't want sticking up for my friend here that he's not in that category of that side of the fandom.
I'm not saying that Becky.
I'd like to think on that.
Side of the fandom, and if he thought that I think I was putting him in that one, that was just the.
Just wanted to clarify, like he's not.
Yeah.
He's not happy about it per se, and I'm going to speak for him a little bit, I guess, because he did want a one-on-one match.
Yeah.
Again, we talked about this months ago about it's going to be a triple threat.
The reason I just want it to be a one-on-one match is because, personally, in my opinion, I just don't think that a triple threat match is necessary. For me, a main event at WrestleMania should be the top face versus the top heel in a one-on-one match. Now, there can be exceptions every once in a while, But if this is going to be the first women's main event, I would prefer it to be a one-on-one match with the top face and the top heel, or just the top two stars in the company in general. That's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense on it. But the big problem with Charlotte Flair is that it's almost like, to a lot of the smarks in the world, we're in a post-kayfabe economy here. And that's basically the problem, because in kayfabe, Becky Lynch dispatched Charlotte many times. She dispatched her at Hell in a Cell. She dispatched her at Super Showdown. She dispatched her for good at Evolution. She dispatched her at the Royal Rumble. She beat Charlotte Flair so badly that she was willing to let Charlotte take over for her against Ronda Rousey, which was basically Becky Lynch saying there, I got everything I wanted. I wanted to show you I was not your sidekick. I did that. I wanted the SmackDown Women's Champion. I did that. I've gotten everything I wanted, and now I'm willing to be your friend again, now that we can stand as equals together.
Right.
And that's perfectly
see me as your equal.
Yeah, and that's perfectly natural for that one. In kayfabe, Becky's dispatched Charlotte. So this should be a one-on-one match just in kayfabe for Becky versus Ronda. But the problem is that in post-kayfabe, Charlotte's always that specter above Becky Lynch. There's always that feeling like the other shoe's about to drop this week. The other shoe's about to drop this week. And when that other
this is like Dreamer Raven in ECW.
Well, it's not even Dreamer Raven. It's just like Becky Lynch is rising this high, but the other shoe's about to drop. And when that shoe drops, they're going to give Charlotte Flair everything because she's a Flair, and because she's a pretty blonde, and because she's everything WWE wants. And Becky Lynch will be back in the mid-card or back as a jobber, and we'll get the same problem there. And that's a problem for this, because in kayfabe, Becky Lynch dispatched Charlotte, but in this post-kayfabe economy, it's like no matter how many times Becky Lynch dispatches Charlotte, Charlotte's always going to be a specter above her, and every time she beats her, the next morning when they wake up, Becky Lynch will still be Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair will still be Charlotte Flair, and that means Charlotte Flair won. It's a case where when they say that wins and losses don't matter in WWE, it's because perception is reality. Roman Reigns had a terrible one-loss record, but
last names matter.
Yeah. Well, Roman Reigns had a terrible one-loss record for a top star, but everyone perceived him as the top star, and that made him the top star. And it also meant even if they dropped him to the mid-card or put him in against other people or had him lose to their favorites, the fans would never accept, okay, Roman's playing ball, because they perceive him as the top star, so they still hated him. And that's a big point on this one, where because the fans perceive Charlotte's going to overtake Becky eventually, Charlotte already has overtaken Becky, because they perceive Charlotte as the star and perceive Becky as this underdog who needs to overtake Charlotte. But every time she overtakes him, it's not going to matter.
Right. I mean, there's really, and it could really, you talk about how Charlotte's the blonde that everyone loves, everyone wants. You could make a huge social commentary on all this.
Mm-hmm.
But then we come back to just a while ago, I was talking about how you were going on your rant. I was talking about how this is basically a byproduct of what's going on in the world today, where everyone freaks out over every little thing. So, I mean, it kind of ties together.
Yeah. And honestly, that is a big problem on this one, where I do agree with Metal Matt here on this one, where it should be a one-on-one match, but the problem is that it should be a one-on-one match in kayfabe right now. But because the smarks don't buy kayfabe is mattering, they don't care what's on the storyline. To them, the stories are made up and the points don't matter in pro wrestling. They just decide that the storyline they made up in their own heads matters. And right now, that storyline is Becky Lynch overtakes Charlotte Flair to become the face of the women in WWE, even though aka Becky Lynch, totally has overtaken Charlotte Flair.
The problem here lies in, and I'll just be blunt about it, fucking vocal idiots that have a following on social media that get traction on where you get somebody like Matt that just honestly wants a one-on-one match. Like no death threats, no bullshit about it, just and nothing disparaging to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And then you get all this bullshit from other fans that and it lets me know right away, like especially on Twitter, like who's following who.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay, I see, like, oh, I'm not following you, and it gets to this pack mentality of to like towards your rant of
warfare.
the death threats and the absolute out for blood, um, where someone like Matt can just genuinely want something without ill attention or ill intention, and then fuckers just go way out of bounds with, and they don't even see what's right in front of them. We all know Becky is going to be in the main event. It's going to be a triple threat. She's going to work her way up, back to the main event. It's going to happen. We all know that. And these people that don't get that and have this following of and these retweets and these likes and these quote tweets and like holy fuck, man, how we devolved as a not just a wrestling community but a society. Like,
Yes.
good
Yeah.
lord.
And ultimately, it's not even just those ones. Like, for example, with
Do not go on Facebook wrestling groups. Like,
yeah,
fuck that.
Well,
Fuck a bunch of Facebook.
yeah,
well, King Koopa, I think, is at fault here because he has that evolved machine in the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Oh, good lord.
yeah. Well, ultimately, it's more than just these ones. Using Metal Matt as the example on this, also know that you work at GameStop, for example, and I know that you know the difference between good people who like video games and those Gamergate creep shows.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same thing where there's a lot of good people who do it and good Becky Lynch fans who just wanted a one-on-one match, but there's also these complete and utter shit stains on it, and those shit stains have to go to the question where the good people also have to call those people out. They have to say, look at it. You realize that you personally are the reason they added Charlotte Flair to this match because of reactions that people like you did when you got worked. Yes, you got worked because you're marks, and it's not a bad thing to be a mark, but you got worked in this case. And this reaction is why Charlotte Flair's in the match and it's not a one-on-one match. You have to tell them, you know that Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair are best friends outside the ring. Do you really think Becky Lynch wants you to give death threats to her best friend? Are you that idiotic?
Unfortunately, there's people that dense out there.
Mm-hmm.
My overall point being, Matt's not one of them. Like
Exactly. Well, of course he's not one of them. We know that. And that's the problem because these people who are like that need to be called out sometimes on it. And I hope that you didn't think I was calling him out here.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No.
Yeah.
No,
You're good people.
Yeah.
Well. That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. And this one goes to SmackDown this week, and they have an in memory of Pedro Morales for his ALWF signing. So they went there, and we'll probably get a full video tribute on Raw.
When did Morales die?
He died on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Of what?
I don't know, but he was 76, so he did at least live a long, full life. So
I want to say pancreatic cancer.
yeah, I don't think they mentioned what it was exactly, just that he died. So
I read somewhere.
He live a kind of private life after he.
Yeah, and apparently he had like an advanced case of Parkinson's disease as well.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought this up in the Daily, and I brought this up on both VWPs. One person that's not talked enough about is Pedro Morales.
Yeah.
Like when people get into discussions about goats and just overall what they meant to the industry, Pedro Morales is not brought up enough.
Yeah.
Pretty much Moses Malone of wrestling.
Yeah, it's even more than Moses Malone because remember, in the northeast days of WWF, it was basically if you were in an Italian restaurant or an Italian neighborhood, there'd be the Pope, Frank Sinatra, and Bruno Sammartino's picture up. And if you were in a bodega in a Puerto Rican neighborhood, they'd have Pedro Morales' picture up.
Right.
And that says it all, where Morales was pretty much equal to Bruno in New York, so.
Did Morales have any kids that went into wrestling?
I don't think he had kids who went into wrestling, but I believe his son did play for UNC Charlotte before as a basketball player.
Oh.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
What years?
Mm-hmm.
What years?
I don't know the years. I just saw it on DVD.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I can't remember the years either, but he did have a UNCC son a son that played for UNCC.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then
talking about I was just talking about how Morales sounds like they're talking about that he's not talked about as far as goats. I mean, I was just thinking that's how he reminded me of Moses Malone because Moses Malone is an all-time great, yet people forget about him. It's when you go back to the big this guy was badass.
Yeah, I think one of the big reasons Morales didn't get much talk was because he did work that WWF style of that powerhouse working on this one. And most of the great Hispanic performers were luchadors, high flyers on stuff like that. And that was not Morales' game in the least. So.
And I couldn't believe
in the 80s didn't Morales. Well, is it true that Morales came back in the 80s? He was basically like a low and mid Carter.
Yeah, he just never left on it. Where he was a big star, a main eventer. He was able to be the world champion, and then he was secondary to Bruno, and then he just kept going and slowly fell down the card until he just was phased out.
He was never.
I couldn't believe it when I was talking to Five that just last week it was 48 years ago last week that he beat Koloff for the championship.
Damn.
48 years, man.
Yeah. And it was necessary. You had to have Koloff in that one because you couldn't have put Morales against Bruno on that one. There would have been a riot in New York if you did that. No joke on that one. There
it was like none.
Riot if you had Pedro fight Bruno.
But Pedro Morales never really became a jobber, did he? When he fell down the card.
I think by the end of the time in the late 80s, he was a jobber. Yeah.
That's pretty much
kind of, but it was still they did start using Pedro as a name, and he wouldn't go over a lot, but he was a draw. Like it was Pedro Morales.
Right.
But he would lose frequently, if you want to call that a job or carpenter or whatever.
Yeah.
But he was a name on the card that Pedro Morales is.
Yeah. he'd basically be a jobber like Val Venus was a jobber in the mid to late 2000s for it. So
Okay, I just
Hello, jobbers.
Yeah, it's like a guy you remember he was pretty big once upon a time, but now he's basically putting over the new guys.
yeah, and it was good work if you could get it. So
Oh, of course.
yeah,
Real quick before we dive into SmackDown, and I hate doing this to you, SK
no problem.
Greeny,
No problem.
because you did bring up Morris and his reaction to Becky and that situation.
Yeah,
And Morris is kind of upset, but he just straight up, she'll get there.
yeah,
She'll still main event WrestleMania.
So Morris is
a
back on
9-year
the Becky train.
yeah,
and that's a different story. But he didn't jump for joy. For those that don't know, my son turned on Becky a month ago. Well, when she won the Rumble, and I think it started happening a little before that. I was just unaware. But
It was a
when
Pearl
that
Harbor
actually
job,
happened,
as Earl Monson would say.
yeah,
but he even a 9-year-old saw writing on the wall of she's going to be back in it. She's going to
Yeah.
work her way back in it somehow. So
Yeah.
to
And
answer
that's-
that question,
Smart kid.
yeah, and that's basically the point because he's 9 years old and he had a much more mature viewpoint of this than a lot of fans did. So that should say something.
that says something, all right. That says something really shitty.
Yeah, and that's really
hey, about my parenting, what are we?
No, it says something really shitty about the fans that were death threats.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just
You're
wanted
doing
to clarify.
a good job as a parent, if anything. So
Good grief, man! I would never say that.
yeah,
Well, sometimes I need the validation. Like,
yes, you're definitely
but
definitely raising
that-
him for these things. So
that was his reaction of she'll find a way to get in there.
Mhm.
So
She will.
yeah. But then we have the end of Raw and show the same thing for it. And they announced that Mustafa Ali has a concussion and an injured tailbone, and a member of New Day will replace him in the Elimination Chamber, which should have happened long ago from the no champion there again.
Mustafa Ali, though, was a great underdog, and I mean, I'd love to see him do
Yeah,
like Mysterio did years ago and win the title.
yeah. Honestly,
Yeah.
They push him better once he wins it.
yeah. Yeah,
yes.
that's a very good thing on it, and hopefully they won't go a different direction there because Ali's been on fire since going up to SmackDown.
Right.
And they start with Charlotte cutting a promo to hype up the things, and Charlotte just officially solidifying herself as a heel. And this is a good thing where we mentioned of does Charlotte have bad acting, and she finally she clicked in things like this.
What was with
For
Charlotte?
once, I will give her credit.
But I mean, what was it with Charlotte all of a sudden having like a ton of makeup on her for the last few weeks?
I'm assuming.
Did you see her new figure?
Well,
No.
I can see the Ric Flair in drag figure, and that was very nice.
Are you kidding me? That's what the figure looked like?
Well, in defense, the problem is that there hasn't been any really good facial features for the WWE figures with women, so that's more on Mattel's side than on Charlotte's side.
Yeah.
But yeah,
far-
for a while they've been having Charlotte come out like 5 pounds of makeup for some weird reason.
Well, judging by the videos for the last few weeks of the Iconics on it, I think that Charlotte Flair started her heel turn by stealing the makeup gun that Billy Kay has stole from Homer Simpson.
Oh, good grief.
Good lord.
And meanwhile, adding to the Simpsons references, Charlotte should come out to the Privileged Boy song except change it to Privileged Girl.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
What are you
It
trying
was still Valentine's, damn it. I love you. That was a great reference.
Yes.
You love who?
You,
Oh, thank
for that
you.
reference.
Why, thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day, because that was a great reference.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Happy
And that-
Valentine's Day to you too. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there.
Yep. And going through on this one, you can continue it after a good chance to finally say that Charlotte needs to be a heel. That just helps the whole show on it. This is what should have happened after SummerSlam. Becky's too likable as a babyface, and Charlotte's just so good as a heel that it's not something like she's unlikable because she's inept at her job or anything. She's just very good at being hated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Her
that's,
father was the same way.
yeah.
Was it, in your opinion, and I'm asking everyone, was this Charlotte's best promo?
Well, honestly, it was one of her best acted promos because you did hear same problem.
Oh, God.
So that's a big thing right there as well. She seems like she's upped her game and she is better at this. So that's
Joey, John, Matt, what do you think of the promo?
I didn't really see it, but I'll take you guys' word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I thought it was Charlotte's best promo in a while. They're not really doing her any favors with what's going on right now, but she's definitely making the best of this. Like she is doing a great job right now.
Yeah.
John?
Like I said, I didn't see it, so I'm taking you.
Or Joey? Damn it, I need to quit confusing you guys. The J's confuse me.
Just call me Caveman.
Are you sure you weren't smoking the J's?
Hey. I'm not in a legal state, so I cannot admit to what I do.
Yes. I'm the only one close to Massachusetts here. I could, but I still don't, so that you know of.
But I mean, like I said, my thoughts were, it was one of her better promos. It was up there. I caught just half of it because, I was running in and out at the time, running errands. But for what I saw, it was good.
And ultimately, that's the difference because you don't need Charlotte to be a heel like she's psycho or crazy because you have a lot of psycho crazy women on this one. And you don't need her to dress in black and wear all the makeup like she's clearly going through her goth phase. But it's basically just have her be...
Are you taking shots at Nikki Cross?
No. Just
hey, you're not taking shots at my Rosemary, are you?
No.
A.K.A. Courtney Rush.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell when it's an actual gothic or crazy psycho gimmick, or if it's basically same person, but they think, I'm totally goth because I shop at Hot Topic.
Oh, good lord.
He's the point the fucking Riot Squad.
Yeah.
And if they really shopped at Hot Topic, they'd have Bullet Club and Los Ingobernables shirts on.
Would that really be that bad?
No.
Hey, what's the issue with the Riot Squad all of a sudden?
Yeah.
The Riot Squad, okay, I gotta say something. The Riot Squad have always come off to me as like basically girls that aren't really true Riot girls, but girls that have watched a bunch of television shows and basically watched the movie based on Joan Jett. They had Bella from fucking Twilight in it. They basically thought, oh, that's Riot. They just come off more as like tools versus the real deal.
So I'm in the middle of unfriending John.
Sarah or Crazy Mary Dobson. I think, if you split them up and give her a reset, she has potential. Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, you know what? Liv Morgan should get repackaged into something. I don't know what, but I just, like I said, I mean, I understand the concept. I understand what they're going for, but just something about them just seems off.
Well, honestly,
You and I are I'm unfriending you on. I'm not friends with you on any social media, but if I were, I
Yeah.
would be unfriending.
I think
I wasn't trying to take any shots at him.
all over me having a different opinion of the Riot Squad than you.
It's a joke, son. You're supposed to.
Yeah.
To quote Kermit the Frog.
But yeah, but I think you said that they were all like sort of different types of stereotypical bad girl.
Yeah, like Matt DSM, it basically these ones for it, where you have Ruby Riot, the punk delinquent. You have Liv Morgan, the one who seems like the happy cheerleader, but she's smoking under the bleachers and
admittedly juvenile delinquent.
Yeah, and you have Sarah Logan, who's just the redneck will just beat you down for it.
The Viking delinquent.
Yeah. Well, I think Vikings aren't in this year, so
damn.
Oof.
I hear the shade.
Yes. Well, at least they work on it, because at least Sarah Logan and Rowe have the form where they can go. They're as much of Vikings as Ralph Wiggum when he's asleep. So.
Oh.
I always thought it'd be funny if Ralph Wiggum tried to be The Rock.
Mm-hmm. I thought most of Rock's promos did sound like they were made by Ralph Wiggum, but just handled because of Rock's charisma.
Sweet cream on an ice cream sandwich.
What did Ralph Wiggum get a shove it up your ass fetish then?
Oh, good Lord.
We will not talk about what Reverend Lovejoy did.
Oh, God.
Jeez.
But going to the next one, we had another one where losers had to start the Elimination Chamber with Bayley and Sasha Banks, as Carmella and Naomi take on the Iconics, take on their Absolution. Give up on the Fire and Desire tag team. Save it for someone else.
Okay, Elizabeth Phillips is a pro wrestler, and Generic Blonde number 497.
Yes, that team.
I thought we were up to 503, but maybe I haven't been keeping count.
Yeah.
You know what? You're right. It is 503. You're right. Now that I think about it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it does have the benefit, and the one thing is that it was a pretty straightforward one, but it just shows that wrestling isn't wrestling in this match, and just shows what people have to realize in the whole show. The Iconics did more wrestling in this match without getting into the ring once, it seemed like, than a lot of other teams do in a lot of things. They at least caught on that they were just saying, okay, they realized if you lose, you're start the Elimination Chamber. So if you just don't get in the match, you're just making sure you don't lose. And that was one of the smartest things that they've done in a long while for this. That's the type of thing we should see more of in pro wrestling.
People using smarts.
Yeah. And
that ties into the Royal Rumble. Like it didn't fare out so well, but
yeah.
Well, they didn't count on
Billy being, coming out like, I'm not getting in here till Peyton shows up. Like,
that's true friendship right there.
Yeah.
Too bad it's void
resemblance of something.
Yeah.
It might not be the greatest thing ever, but there's some resemblance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, John, what were you saying?
I was saying they were trying to use the power of friendship to win the Rumble.
Yeah, but it also worked on this one because, honestly, that tied to a problem with this one where if you looked at the same example of how to get Charlotte in and Becky out, you had the weakness where with Becky there was the moment she was out of the ring. They asked if she could continue, and she didn't do it in time like Lana did. But that also ignores the fact
Hello?
The rule is you're not in the Rumble by that time you're out. So it did, but this was perfect smarts in it, and that's the type of thing that you should be trying to do for teams trying to find loopholes like this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was good that
And
they
it worked for them.
Naomi the win because they needed some kind of cred.
Yeah.
And of course, the Iconics had to lose again.
Well, that's the difference because they didn't lose because the rules of the match meant that Mandy and Sonya lost, but they just did not win. And that's the whole point that they had, because they realized we don't have to win, we just have to not lose.
You see how smart the Iconics are.
Yeah.
But honestly, at least that's a story. Like, it's something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they've been booked to shit. At least the Royal Rumble and, like, last night, at least there's something there. And I know this will, I know this, who I'm speaking to, it, like, triggered's not a, but at least there's something there. You know, underneath all, it's like an onion with layers, not to go all Shrek, but like,
yeah, honestly,
there's at least something.
Yeah, and this actually does give us a bit more of a character to it, where you don't, if they're the comedy team, just having stuff where they might not be as dumb as they look is really good character wise, and that's the type of thing you'd want on this one, where it's everybody thinks they're idiotic jokes, but they may be the smartest team in the room.
Yeah.
And people, like, in real life, sometimes you have to bide your time.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of time you have to bide your time.
The art of war.
Maybe they're just biding their time.
Yeah.
Art of war.
Never interrupt your enemy in the process while they're in the process of making a mistake.
Exactly. And
you guys get it.
Yeah, and this was one of the good things on it, where it's one of the things that does help in the previous one, where the Iconics have been biding their time, as just waiting for a tag division to start, and now they can start being more of a threat. But until that happened, you had the same problem of all tag teams on it, where if you're a tag team, you're going to do a jobber as a singles act. But now that they're a tag team, they're ready to actually be used.
Granny gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Was that your?
And that's why the women's tag team titles will be iconic this Sunday.
Well, yeah, I already sent out the email.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Mm-hmm. And then you get the Raw teams getting their chance to talk, as Bayley says Sasha will be in the chamber on Sunday. Tamina and Nia Jax say that they won't be able to walk after leaving the chamber. Oh wait, they said no one was walking out of the chamber once they get done with them.
I was about to say, can they even walk to the chamber?
Yes. Yes, I think that. Well, on the plus side, it's going to be a good thing that Tamina can probably high five Iron Sheik when WrestleMania 38 finishes. So,
dude, that's like that's.
That was reaching deep, man. That was a deep dive, man. I got to congratulate you on that one.
Yeah. And then
a quick sidebar, if you guys don't mind, it's not my podcast anymore, but if you don't mind, I just want to poll the participants. And by no means is this body shaming or anything, but something I've noticed, and then it got brought up in conversation. Is it just me, or has Nia in the last month or so, or more than a month, has Nia put on more weight?
Honestly, it's weird on this one because of the fact that with pro wrestlers, it's a question mark because it's never about how much you weigh on these things, and rather how you look in the ring and how you can work in the ring. Like, for instance, you have people like, for example, Yokozuna was pushing 800 pounds but still was very agile. You have someone like, say, Cassius Ohno, who looks like he went to a restaurant and ate everything in the restaurant and they had to close the restaurant, but he still was one of the best workers on the planet. You have Adam Cole, who's a fat ass, as everyone in PWG knows, but he still looks like he works well. But he's got a shoot fighter's physique. That's what Squared Circle told me, so.
No, try again.
Yes. But it does.
Never judge a book by its cover is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. And that's really the question mark because
I was asking like a shoot legitimate question.
Yeah.
Because
Jax, to me, I don't know. She looks the same as she always has.
Yeah.
I noticed it like before the Rumble, then at the Rumble, I thought maybe it was the attire.
Well, honestly, it's going to be a question mark on this one because from what I've seen Nia Jax on it, she hasn't seemed like she's always seemed like she's fat and not fat. And any wrestling fan knows there's a difference between fat and fat. Like, for instance, Cassius Ohno being the best example of it, where by the time he left NXT the first time, he had love handles and he looked sloppy. But now he looks put together and he's clearly fatter than he was when he left NXT. But he looks solid now, so he looks good. And it's okay. And that's basically the biggest difference where Nia Jax, where she may be gaining weight, possibly to work with men more often in these things, but she doesn't look sloppy yet, is what it comes down to.
She looks solid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was just asking if anybody else has noticed. Well, she's sloppy as fuck in the ring. We can't deny that, but
yeah. But I'm talking about
and again, like body shaming or anything like that. Like 100% not what I was getting at.
Yes.
Just it looks like she's put on some weight in the last few months.
Gearing up to fight the men. It's just like a heavyweight New Japan joining the heavyweight division.
Yeah. And again, if you're putting on weight, it doesn't matter if you're putting on weight. It just matters if you start to look sloppy about it. And Nia Jax doesn't look sloppy and sloppy.
Okay. I just wanted your guys' opinions on.
Yeah. It still goes to the same thing where, just like the sainted Pappy told me, Daddy always said a fat girl was like a moped, fun to ride till a friend sees you. Gillette, the best that men can be.
Yeah, you just don't
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, again, like how she wore basically the same attire at Rumble, but it was kind of different, and it wasn't as fitting per se.
Yeah.
And then I was just wondering if anybody else.
Yeah. Well, it does seem she may be gaining weight, but she doesn't look sloppy yet. And ultimately, as long as you don't look sloppy, it's fine.
Right.
Okay. Again, it was just an honest question of.
Yeah.
Enough.
Above and beyond the poverty, it is my privilege to present.
But then you go through this one, and
I think Matt
talks about his promo and cuts a good promo after not having his opportunity and says it's not the end and he'll be back because he writes his story, which works on it. And then we have the best team in the world up against the Usos.
When I say this, y'all say
Omega Kota Ibushi.
Who?
I like Rio.
How did Kota Ibushi come up in this conversation?
Best tag team in the world. That's
okay. I missed that part.
is
I was
Valentine
the business shade are probably the most best tag team in the world. Last time I checked, they were not Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi, the Gold Lovers.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my speakers went out for a second. That's what all of a sudden I heard you yelling, Kota Ibushi. Like, how'd that happen?
Well, it does bring up New Japan news on it, where Kota Ibushi actually signs a contract with someone, signing with New Japan and getting a big world there. And we get the shock of the week, as once again the IWGP champion had a big one, but ultimately, as we knew since 2002, Hiroshi Tanahashi was weak against Switchblades.
Are we done with SmackDown real quick?
Yeah,
What happened? What
was
happened?
just going
Tanahashi said what?
with the Japan news. As we have a new IWGP champion, as Hiroshi Tanahashi proves he's weak against Switchblades once more.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah.
They can fuck right off with that.
Yes. Ultimately, that's the problem where it seems like a bad move on this one, where it was just, we knew that Tanahashi was probably a transitional champion, but Switchblade's just trying to keep the Bullet Club valid, even though it's clear once the Elite went, there's the Bullet Club's value in America. And they didn't have much value left in Japan at the time, so they should have just gone with someone in Los instead.
I think Tanahashi should have held the belt for a while, not fucking drop it right away.
Yeah,
I
like
agree.
seriously. Like that's and to go back to Morris.
That's odd from coming from New Japan, who's known for like doing long-term booking.
Yeah.
Are they scared and insecure because all the Elite left, and they're scared because they're trying to break into the United States, and they're thinking, "Oh, we need to speed book now."
Well, I think it's
I think you're pretty much on the nose with that.
Yeah, I think it's more that they wanted a title change in the Garden, possibly to Naito or Okada there, and they just needed a transitional reign for transitional reign. Although it'll probably
then give us fucking Tanahashi versus Okada again, or give us Tanahashi versus Naito again.
Yeah, honestly,
don't put the fucking belt on Jay stupid ass White.
Yeah.
2 months.
Ass kicked by Josh Barnett in San Francisco. Remember that?
Yes.
Yes.
That was funny.
Honestly, it could go many other ways on it. Like, this makes Jay White the 68th IWGP champion, which we all know means that they're going to have this junior heavyweight build-up.
So he owes us one.
Taguchi wins the title next.
The oldest one, what?
No, the 68th championship. So it means that.
No, I think he was talking about with what I said about he owes us one 68 and I owe you one.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going with Taguchi instead for the same 69 joke, so.
Yes. They both work.
Yes.
But what the fuck, New Japan? God bless.
Mm-hmm. Yes, again, that's the problem. We saw.
Hey, do we still have Matt and Roach there?
Mm-hmm.
Is Matt Roach still with us?
Yeah. I'm still with us.
Mm-hmm.
Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, ultimately it's just weird on this one where we go from, though it could be a case where they just had to get the title off since Tanahashi's ready to fight Kyle O'Reilly and Eric Bugenhagen over who the best air guitar player is, so.
Oh, God.
It's the sad thing.
I'll be blunt. I'll be very blunt. And my email will be SK, what's your email?
My email is skgreen at don't email us, please. Don't add us.com.
Okay. So that's my email because I'm about to be real blunt. Fucking New Japan Pro Wrestling has been shit since Wrestle Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Now keep in mind though, Omega and his AEW deal, he can still work New Japan if he chooses.
Right, like that's future tense. But from today, from Wrestle Kingdom to today, holy fuck, has it been bad?
Honestly, that's the problem on this one where I know that Joey, John, and I have both all enjoy that anime thing the young folks like. And this ultimately seems to be the same thing where it's,
You say young folks like I'm not the oldest one on the podcast.
yes,
No, I'm older than you, dude.
Oh yeah, that's right.
but
Barely.
New Japan is basically like that top manga series that had a big anime hit in America after the anime ended. And suddenly you're going with the same going through the motions, blah blah blah. We're still on Namek. Do something already, Eisen. We're bored. Get on with it. Type of ongoing series, and that's
You know
basically
what the bitch of it all is? Okay, I have to cut you off. You know what the bitch of it all is? And this is coming from someone who grew up with a mother and loves to watch soap operas. Everyone bitches and moans about Dragon Ball Z being slow as fuck. Why don't you motherfuckers sit down and watch a soap opera and see that storylines don't last about 5 years before they end?
Because I'm pretty sure that most soap operas don't involve someone like basically screaming until they pass out.
I don't know.
Bullshit, they don't.
Old and the Beautiful now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold up, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And see, this is where Joe and I became friends. Is watching soap operas as a kid.
Yes. But yes, it does have those ones where it's still problems just watching the soap operas, just with seeing on at work things of soap operas saying Wayne Brady talks about his bold and beautiful character being problems, and just at saying, did he say, is Wayne Brady gonna have to choke a bitch?
You win. You win.
Yeah.
You win.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Mm-hmm. But it isn't a problem on these ones where it just seems like yes, New Japan is falling off on that one, but that's going to happen when you lose 4 of your best stars in one go through, not counting losing top names like the Best Friends, and all the rumors have said that there was supposed to be a big storyline for Trent Beretta until he decided to go to AEW as well, so they lost 6 top names in a span of a couple weeks, and it's going to take a while to build up back up from that.
Yeah, they just basically said it's pretty much like how NXT resets when all the call-ups happen.
Yeah. Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, pretty much.
To
Yeah.
AEW and lost Kushida to WWE, so this is not going to be a good thing for them. And
not just who they lost as far as leaving, but Ibushi with the concussion.
mm-hmm.
Like it just like
See,
the little ripple of a ray went into it.
Sorry. Go on, Mox. I'm sorry.
There was the ripples were already becoming a wave, and then like Ibushi with the concussion, like I don't want to use tsunami or anything, but like okay, and then the new management and damn has New Japan just
Yeah.
You want to talk about, you wanted to talk about a title change in the garden. It would have made perfect sense for Tanahashi to keep the belt till then and then drop it to it.
Yeah. And honestly, that's really the thing, because New Japan is basically in a shitstorm right now. It isn't very good, but right now they're in a level where all the bad things that could be happening to them are happening to them, and they're probably
all at once, literally all at once.
Yeah. And we saw that they did well in 2015, the last time this happened, when Nakamura, Styles, and the Good Brothers all left. So it's not it's a little too early to write New Japan off entirely yet.
Oh,
Right.
I wouldn't do that, but just like it's been a brutal couple of months.
Yeah.
They'll get their groove back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
is that Meltzer's now on AEW payroll instead of New Japan's payroll, so they won't have the person to tell everybody their matches are good.
Oh boy.
12 stars. 12 stars.
Well, that's going to beat the 10 stars he gave that one match at Battleground.
No, fuck that. Everyone knows the best all-time match, and it was a 7-star match, was Howard Finkel versus Harvey Wippleman tuxedo match on Raw.
Absolutely.
You cannot disagree with that. I mean, that's just fact.
That was the greatest match of all time. Fuck Misawa Kawada. Wippleman Finkel shits all over that.
Yep.
I dare you guys. I dare anybody listening or you guys podcasting with me. I dare you. Put up another match against it. I dare you. You can't.
Since we're so off the rails, this is a good time for the Song of the Week to try and get back on the rails to continue SmackDown. So,
oh shit! I thought we were done with SmackDown. I'm sorry.
So
Song of the Week this week. I'm continuing with the one-hit wonders, other songs from one-hit wonders. This week, you recognize this group from this song. But we're not playing that song this week. We're going to play another song by the legendary Space Hog. And instead of In the Meantime, we're going to play the song Mungo City.
I would have dressed better if I knew Vince was going to be on the podcast.
Mungo City. Here we go, everybody. All right, Musketeers, that was the song of the week on Whacked Out Wrestling from Joey the Caveman. It's Mungo City from Space Hog.
And it
That
was
song to
weird
me
that
kind of reminded, like, that song to me reminded me of the band Jellyfish, who is another lost band, but it was not Jellyfish, it was Space Hog.
yeah.
And
Honestly, it was one of my favorite songs by him. So
what's up?
one of my favorite songs by him. So
I could dig it. It reminds me of Jellyfish, like I said. It's nice touch. And you know what? Actually, that's the first time I ever heard that song.
Mm-hmm.
And it's instantly shot up to becoming one of my favorites.
Yep. And going back to the regular one, you have Miz and Shane McMahon for Mick Miz TV, and you had both of them out of the way, with Miz doing a photo shoot for his reality show and Shane filming a guest spot for NCIS Los Angeles because the McMahons don't have enough time on USA. And then from these ones, you go to this week's guests of the Usos, which was just them talking about trying to play the newlywed game with each other. Because that's what you want from a tag team feud.
The whole segment came off as flat.
Yes. Yes. And that's really
I'm kind of scared that they're going to turn Shane or Miz, they're going to turn one of them heel. And honestly, I think that, you know what? They should stay a team for a couple years.
I could honestly see it on these ones, but it could be the question mark because right now Miz and Shane McMahon work for these ones, but it's a problem once they officially ended the Authority and just said that the McMahons are heel again. So it pretty much seems like Shane McMahon's going to turn anyway. So, but it's going to be the question even then, since you don't know if they're going to give him the title reign after Jimmy Uso's arrest got such big views on this one. So that's going to be a question as well.
Right.
And honestly, that'll be the thing, because I'm still thinking that Endgame would be Miz as the face versus Daniel Bryan as the heel at WrestleMania, but it's still a question mark on those ones if they actually can pull the trigger now.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, at this point, how do you get to that?
Yeah. Well, it seems pretty obvious that Miz gets a number one contender match after this goes, but it seems like if they do have it, it'd be Shane McMahon versus The Miz. So,
right.
Mm-hmm. And then we go through it, and we have the Million Man March video for Black History Month, but we can't even make this one because now we're going to the Gauntlet match, and we start out with Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston of the New Day, and they finally say who's going to take over, and we go for a pretty good matchup, which we expected because Kofi Kingston's very good, Daniel Bryan's very good, and this helped them both. It was a good battle, and then Trouble in Paradise happens at 24 minutes for the big upset for Kofi Kingston beats Daniel Bryan clean.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And then we go from the third match, and Jeff Hardy faces Kofi Kingston, which is your Star Wars 2019, folks. So Jeff Hardy keeps going. Good match, good battle. And then SOS follows, and Jeff Hardy's gone at 33-18.
What, Kingston came out and attacked them?
No, Kofi Kingston continues to win in the gauntlet.
Oh wow! Continue on.
Fourth match on this one: Samoa Joe versus Kofi Kingston, and same thing. Big battle. Joe keeps up his attack. Some big fights. Good power versus small guy match. Battle goes through, and at 46-22, Kofi Kingston wins again. And
Kofi on fire.
Yeah. And then we go for this one, and it goes to AJ Styles as the next one after a beatdown by Joe, and it's Styles 5th versus Kofi Kingston. Kofi's still willing to go for it and keeps going and keeps the battle. Good fight between AJ and Kofi. Good attack. Goes through and finally a calf crusher. And at 59-57, Kofi Kingston loses to AJ Styles. And that would have been a good one, except RKO out of nowhere and Randy Orton wins. And that is what you need to see. We can make jokes about the Black History Month, but they just made Kofi Kingston a world title contender in this match. It would not be insane to say, you know what? He's a 12-year veteran. Everyone loves him. It's Black History Month, and they need to end that no black WWE champion thing. Fuck it. Give Kofi Kingston the title on Sunday.
I'll sign on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sign off on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be a pretty interesting, ballsy move, but it's the type of move that you might want to make. So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the New Day. Everybody's longed for one of the New Day to have the WWE title, if not Freebird rule the title for a long time. And that would work well because Kofi gets his run, Big E gets his run as the top guy, and all the smarks get to be happy that Consequences Creed, not Xavier Woods, gets his world title reign. So.
I mean, that's the sort of thing that...
Wouldn't that make them heels, though, if they Freebird ruled the world title?
I don't know.
I mean, he knew when Xavier Woods came to WWE that he'd be different from how he was before, because as we all know, Consequences will never be the same.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Nice touch.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do think that he might use the back tracing it. So,
Chris Chan versus Kofi. Or Chris Chan versus Consequences Creed. Imagine that. Consequences will never be the same versus he's gonna get the internet chopped down.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that really goes to it because most of these things were just prepping for Sunday. And that's why we have the Elimination Chamber preview for this week. And that's what we have for the card is 7 matches, and one of them's pre-show. But there's 2 Elimination Chamber matches, so it makes sense. We have the pre-show match. Cruiserweight title on the line as Buddy Murphy takes on Akira Tozawa. Your thoughts on who'll win?
Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see Murphy retaining.
Mm-hmm.
I have to believe that if they're going to have the title change hands, they're not going to have it change hands in a pre-show match. Like,
well,
they're probably
Cruiserweight. It is 205 Live, so
fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Mox, Matt, your thoughts?
On what match?
Murphy versus Tozawa.
Well, I think Murphy wins. I think Murphy does lose the title at WrestleMania. I don't know the who, but I think he does lose at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Mox? Okay.
Mox?
I think Moxwell does.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he did apparently. So
What happened?
apparently Mox was kicked off. So,
Oh,
but
damn.
but I think it would be Murphy winning on this one because Tozawa seems to go and it would inadvertently have a good storyline where Itami loses and is out, Tozawa loses, and suddenly it's prepping for a WrestleMania match of Kushida makes his debut and beats Murphy for the title. So
I could buy that.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
You
And
think somehow Kushida will keep his badass theme?
I don't know on this one, but I think you'll probably be able to keep his gimmick on it, if only because that's, again, just like Kairi Sane being the pirate princess, their gimmick in Japan is very easy to translate to America.
Yeah.
And having something that basically boils down to he's Marty McFly in a pro wrestling ring, that's easy. That's like shooting fish in a barrel. And even if Vince hasn't seen Back to the Future yet, he would probably like it just by the chance of, I get to have an angle with a guy having sex with his mother. Sold.
Oh, good Lord.
They'll bring back Hiroko Suzuki to top it all off.
Yep. And going from this one, you have the one match without a title on the line in no disqualification as Braun Strowman takes on Baron Corbin.
Braun Strowman will whoop that ass.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
it'll be Braun Strowman that wins.
Yeah.
I want to see Braun Strowman. I want to see. Not only do I want to see Strowman win this match, I want to see him do it. He did the Roman Reigns, beat Corbin up, throw him in the ambulance, and overturn the ambulance. And then I want to see him push that ambulance all the way down to a freeway, and then push it off a giant bridge. And then after he does that, then he can just stand and look at the camera and go, "Run!"
Judging by the time that Triple H got thrown off a forklift in a truck that went through, Baron Corbin would miss one day of Raw.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so the Looney Tunes theory.
Yes.
Okay.
And honestly, that would work on it because Strowman should win this one, but I don't know what Strowman does at WrestleMania right now on it, which is weird. Like, I think I just don't know what he does after this feud.
Good question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's weird with Strowman because he's clearly big enough he has to do something, but
I agree.
there's nothing. And then that goes to the Intercontinental title on the line, where you have a handicap match of Bitch Boy Bobby and his man pimp Lio Rush versus Finn Balor.
Finn Balor will win over Bitch Boy Bobby.
This
But
would
win over Lio Rush.
Yeah.
I think Lashley wins here. However, I do think that Finn Balor does beat Lashley at Mania for the title.
As
Yeah.
the Demon?
As the Demon.
Yeah.
Okay, I changed my mind. Now that you mention it, yeah, I changed my mind. Bitch Boy Bobby wins. And then Bitch Boy Bobby will get his Waterloo when he faces Demon Balor.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense here on it because eventually they have to do stuff to keep up the Demon, though I still prefer my headcanon for this one that seemed to make sense here where Finn Balor had won a lot of matches, but he was the Demon for most of those. He puts out his Balor Club for everyone shirt, and then once that happens, he's almost never been the Demon since. Seafritton's headcanon would be the Finn Balor character is gay, the Demon was his gay thoughts coming out, and now that he's accepted that part of himself, he's never needed to be the Demon again.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Which makes some sense on it, but would have the same value of Lio Rush pimping out Lashley and having him present weirdly to people. So there is the chance there.
Well, the man looks like money. He smells like money. He is money.
Yes.
Oh, I'm just begging for a Bitch Boy Bobby chant to start at WWE just once.
Yes. Well, once they steal Eddie Edwards from TNA, they'll probably do it, so.
Yeah. Is there rumors of Eddie Edwards coming to WWE for real?
No rumors of him yet, but considering the ratings for Impact have come out for these ones, it's likely that WWE can get anyone they want from the roster.
How bad are the ratings on Pursuit?
12,000.
12,000 viewers only?
Only 12,000 viewers.
What were they having on Pop?
They were still in the hundreds, in the 100,000s. So,
dummy, yeah,
yes,
that's what they were. Yeah, dummy. Look,
yeah.
I got. Okay, so they decided to go to a network where they were getting 100,000 viewers or so to go to a redneck network that they only get 12,000 viewers. Am I right?
Yes.
They decided that this was a good idea.
Well, in defense, they also have their Twitch stream, and that gets 19,000 more viewers. But still, 31,000 people. I think there's indie feds that get more views a week than TNA does.
So you're telling me
it's like, for the life of me, I don't know if Pursuit is even on Comcast. So that's a pretty big part of the market right there.
Yeah, I was shocked to find Pursuit was on Cox, and it was not, and it's on the very high end network. So,
well, there's only one thing to say about this.
Dummy, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even then, 31,000 viewers total for Impact is not good. You can get 31,000 viewers for any indie fed on this one. 31,000 for people on Powerbomb TV. 31,000 on the Pluto channel for Impact. 31,000 for the AAA channel on Impact. Hell, you can probably get 31,000 people just watching to drool over Scarlett Bordeaux and get more people on that one. 31,000 is disgusting for it.
Dummy,
Yeah.
That is just not good for ratings on these ones. It's almost
their damn fault. They fucking go to Pursuit TV. They should have tried to go a fucking Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Well, Anthem doesn't own Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big things, one of the big reasons why they went to Pursuit is because Anthem owns a significant part of that network.
Yeah. And they don't care on that one because Anthem's made it clear they value it as cheap video, so I don't care if 12,000 people do it because they can keep showing the video over and over again.
Yeah, but I mean, how has Impact and TNA lasted so long? Okay, first of all, they were touring. They didn't do tours or house shows. They just stayed at Universal for ages when Jarrett was running it. And I mean, now they're doing this. It's like TNA is like, let's just call TNA/Impact what it is. It's literally a zombie fed. It can't be killed.
It's like Brewster's Millions. If you had him own a wrestling promotion instead of a baseball team.
Yes, and that's really the weird thing on it, where it's gotten to the point where AEW has more viewers, despite the fact they don't exist yet. This is just hilariously bad for them.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because Impact's really turned the corner.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a damn shame. I mean, fuck it. Do they need? Fuck it. I mean, what? I mean, if they're still surviving, I mean, I just want to know how they're getting paid.
Well, I'm sure that Anthem has some money for it, so They have those.
As much money as the Jarretts did? As much money as Dixie Carter did?
The
I
Jarretts
would say
didn't
more.
have that much money because they had their money through Health South, and Health South went bust in 2002.
What was Health South?
Health South was a health insurance thing that had a scandal in 2002 and had to close.
Oh.
Yeah. They were blowing money on things like TNA, having their own pop band and things like that.
Right.
So basically you had that, and so with Dixie, it was almost like Panda Energy had a lot of money, but most of theirs were like, we're going to give Dixie Carter this much money because it's easier than having her screw up Panda Energy. So that handled it. Then they were able to steal Billy Corgan's money, and that helped. And then them had the money for it because they realized we need this money for our show.
So essentially what you're telling me is TNA's a succubus.
Yeah.
Well, so TNA being a succubus, I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're just looking for them to have some Scotsmen to have the lot.
At this rate, just fucking do 2 hours of the dummy button and see how much ratings you get. At this point, if you're gonna put it like that, just have dummy go on for 2 straight hours.
Probably would get more than 12,000 viewers. So
yeah, it'd be as bad as like Rocco's Modern Life, where the guy that did the show, I forget the name.
Yeah,
big heads put a fucking jar of mayonnaise and got the highest ratings of all time. It'd be just like that.
Yes.
Fuck it. You know what? Fuck it. I mean, Fact of Life could be a 2-hour-long show. Just give Eli Drake the 2 hours to do his 2-hour-long show. Hell, I mean, I'd rather watch Fact of Life than Miss TV any day of the week.
Yeah.
I can't. I just
wondering how we can get to this one from the Elimination Chambers. The ratings for TNA are so bad, it's almost like Baron Corbin runs the show.
Oof.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And what is Baron Corbin? A dummy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Going on to the next match on this one, you have the Usos up against The Miz and Shane McMahon for the SmackDown Tag Titles.
When I say Miz, y'all say Shane.
Miz.
Shane.
Sucks. But yes, it's kind of weird on this one where I can't. This is just more proof that the new era has ended, where you had all this build for good tag teams, and then The Miz and Shane McMahon are champs. I mean, I know it's needed that the best in the world needed to win a title for the first time in 19 years, but the joke's gone on long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, I don't think that. I don't think that Shane and Miz lose this Sunday. I do think that they retain. I think they do lose at Fastlane. And that's when someone turns heel and they have a match at Mania.
Yeah. Yeah, but ultimately it's going to be who gets the titles on this one, because you probably shouldn't, but I don't see any other team that deserves it there. Like the Bar, the New Day, and it all seems like it's in a blur.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Heavy Machinery takes it off them, shows up on SmackDown.
It could be viable on this one, but honestly, if you're going to do that, that would just be better at WrestleMania, where Shane McMahon wins, then Heavy Machinery can't get their contract for this one, but Maurice is at ringside, and if the Heavy Machinery wins, Otis gets the pretty lady. And usually it just goes through with this one where They just need more tag teams on it, or at least explore the room with the good tag team SmackDown has.
Right.
And now we get to the big matches on this one, where we have the Raw Women's Championship as Ronda Rousey takes on, who's going to face Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, takes on some person, as said by Raw and SmackDown themselves. And it says something that Charlotte Flair is doing more to say that Ruby Riott may have a chance at WrestleMania than Raw, SmackDown, Rousey, or Lynch are doing. And that's at least one good plus for this. And ultimately,
Rousey easily.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's the problem on this one, where this could have been a good match, but they're not doing anything on this one. It's like it's so etched in stone here that it's in the I don't care if Rousey has a heart attack and dies, you will roll her on top of you level. And Ruby Riott's talented enough, she could probably put on a good match with Ronda Rousey's corpse. So,
yeah, I think Ronda wins here. And honestly, considered how little of a chance that Ruby has, it pains me to say it, but it really would not surprise me if it ended up being like a 30-second squash match.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah, and ultimately it's just the same as Super Showdown, where Rousey put this armbar on 2 members of the Riot Squad at once. So how can you expect one person to have a chance?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And this is just the bad thing, because again, Ruby Riott is very good. She deserves to be in
totally.
Picture, but it just isn't there.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And then you have the 2 Elimination Chamber matches. First, you have the Women's Tag Team Championship match as Raw representatives, Nia Jax and Tamina, the Samoan connection, even though one of them's from Fiji, and Boston Hug and Bayley and Sasha Banks, and Riot Squad members Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan take on the SmackDown contingent of Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, Fire and Desire, Billie Kay and Peyton Royce of the Iconics, and Naomi and Carmella of, come on, we needed one other team, and these were the 2 warm bodies we gave it to.
AKA Fabulous Glow.
Yes.
Apparently.
I think this Elimination Chamber match will be simply iconic.
Yes. And ultimately, this ties to the whole thing, the whole message that we give you of this week. On paper, you should have stuff where the problems with the Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair thing is people got worked and they're not willing to admit it because they don't want to accept that being a mark is not a bad thing.
Or they don't want to accept that they're not as smart as they think they are.
Not even just that, but for some reason in pro wrestling fandom, since Smarks became such a big thing with the Scott Keith, Bob Ryder era of fans of some talking about wrestling, being a mark is somehow seen as a bad thing, like being seen as something that says you're a sucker, something that says you're an idiot. But that's
that's what the meaning of mark was a long time ago in carnivals.
Yeah, but ultimately there's also the question of, is it so bad to say you love a performer? Is it so bad to say you believe in a performer and want them to win? Is that somehow terrible for people to admit that they buy into someone and see someone as a hero, as someone that they like to see?
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is that's not a bad thing. I mean, I think Bayley's the cutest thing on 2 legs in WWE. I mean, I think Rosemary is the cutest wrestler in I think I think Rosemary's the cutest women's wrestler out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I can admire them. I can admire the characters. But I mean, I don't know the people behind them. See, I can differentiate.
You're completely underselling Tony Storm, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Storm, never seen
By
her.
the way, sorry, there was a glitch in my system, so
No problem.
Oh, welcome back, Mox.
While we're going on this one, Mox.
How long you been back, Mox?
I just got back on.
Oh,
So your thoughts on the matches we covered so far on this one? Miz and Usos. Who do you think is going to win, Mox?
Oh, we're doing predictions for Elimination Chamber?
Yep.
What was the match again? Miz and who?
Best in the World versus the Usos.
Best in the World.
Murphy versus Tozawa. Who's winning?
Pre-show, Murphy retains.
Ronda Rousey versus some person who is totally not Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair.
I hate to say it. Hate. Excuse me. Hate to say it. Ronda retains.
Yeah. Bobby Lashley and his man pimp versus Finn Balor.
Fuck it. Put the IC title on Finn.
Yep. And Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
They wasted both of them.
Yeah.
I'd say Braun just to get some kind of legitimacy back, but they'd still waste it too.
Yeah.
And plus, I'm sure the audience wants to see Baron Corbin get his ass kicked for making Raw suck for so long.
Yes.
Who better to do it than his former enforcer, Bro Strongman?
Yes. And going back to this one, it just seems like, as I said on this one, the big problem with this whole Becky versus Charlotte thing is basically people don't want to accept they got worked, and that means that they mark out for Becky Lynch. But being a mark is not entirely a bad thing. Again, the whole thing that fans have to do, people say that fans have to do this, fans have to do that, but there's one thing that fans truly have to do in pro wrestling. You gotta believe. That's all it comes down to. If you don't believe in your favorite performers to succeed, you're basically going to get 2 for flinching. They're going to fail, and it will be your own damn fault because you didn't believe in them enough to say, I believe in you. I'm going to cheer for you if you're a face. I'm going to boo you if you're a heel because I know that boos are your cheers, and I'm going to rise you up to the level so that you can succeed. You have to believe that they have a chance to make it. And if you do believe, they're going to take you to places you could only dream of. They're going to do things that'll make it so beautiful and such a religious experience that makes pro wrestling great.
right.
And that ties into my pick on this. Yes, I think Bayley and Sasha Banks are the most likely team to win. Yes, I think the Riot Squad are a likely team to win. I could see Nia Jax and Tamina being monsters to be the team for Bayley and Sasha Banks to go. Fuck it. I like the Iconics. It would make me happy if the Iconics won. I'm picking the Iconics.
It could go either way. I mean,
I wasn't laughing at you. I just saw some. I was reading Facebook and there was some comment that made me sort of chuckle.
No problem.
my prediction is, you know what? I mean, it would be good to jump start it with Sasha and Bayley winning the tag belts with the Iconics chasing them. But I mean, it would be just as good to have the Iconics and Sasha and Bayley chase them. So it could go either way. I mean, this is one of these predictions where it's like, catch me on one day, I'll say one. You catch me on the next day, I'll say a different one. So tonight, I'm going to go with the Iconics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and obviously this is leading to like a WrestleMania Tag Team Championship match.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't usually the better story of the underdog babyface chasing the heels?
Yeah,
Yes.
but there's also that looming shadow as well, because you know that Bayley and Sasha Banks have the chance there as well, but there's also that case of not just women's tag titles, but that feeling of, are Trish and Lita going to come back to face whoever wins this? And if so, that Bayley and Sasha would win due to that.
No. Hopefully, since we know they listen to WOW, hopefully their feed cut out for a few seconds.
Yeah. But yeah, it does have a few different ways, and ultimately, pretty much any of the teams would be good first champions, except probably for Naomi and Carmella. But that's only because they're so thrown together, and at least it says something that they have 5 teams that you could consider tag teams there.
Right.
Heck,
I remember 2 hours ago when I said I had a bad feeling about this match.
Yeah. And ultimately, that's going to be the question mark for whether the division works, of how many pure tag teams you have and how many times do you have this person has nothing to do, this person has nothing to do, throw the tag belts on them for a couple months. Or they're just as bad. They're fighting at the pay-per-view, they're feuding, but they're tag champs. How will they ever coexist?
Like, I can think of at least one other team that they could have, like, off the top of my head, if they call up the Sky Pirates.
Yes. And they can also call up Jessica and Mary, even though it's way too early for them. And
please don't. Like, this match is already going to be a shit show.
No, I wasn't thinking particular match. I was thinking for the women's tag team division in general.
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking ahead. I was thinking.
Still don't do that.
Future of the division.
Yeah.
Because they're not good.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, that's one of the other things I saw from Kingston for Duke and Shafir on this one. They suck so bad it's just as bad as they were in MMA.
Right.
Entered obligatory. One of them had a winning record of like 3-2 or 6-5 or whatever the fuck that people bring up. I think it was Shafir.
I thought Shafir had an 0-2 record in MMA.
It might be Duke then that people bring. She actually had a winning record, barely.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Sonya Deville was better in MMA than Duke and Shafir were, so.
Well, Sonya Deville just wins all around, period.
Yes. Yes, hopefully this does the thing where you can use the Jimmy Uso arrest to have Naomi and Mandy Rose go through, and then have the full viewpoint of wrestling's Ariana Grande and wrestling's Elizabeth Gillies team up together.
Oh, jeez. I mean, if you turn Carmella back into a heel, it could work, but... Hey, Mox.
Yes, sir.
Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, I looked at Tony Storm.
Yes, sir.
I still say Bayley, and I still say Rosemary / Courtney Rush is cuter.
Well, I mean, sit there all day long with your wrong opinions and stuff. That's I can accept that. That's no problem there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to berate you for, being wrong or anything.
Oh, it's all right. No, I wasn't thinking of that. I was thinking of the infamous William Regal pick.
Yes. Yes, the William Regal.
It's just so funny. It's just his face. He just looks like he knows he's screwed up.
From Tony Storm to the wardrobe malfunctions of British performers. In a positive light this way.
It's just his face. Forget the fact that he accidentally exposed himself. Just his face, how he knows he screwed up. I showed my mom that pic. I showed my mom.
Okay, now we're that. How far in territory do we dive here?
Well, I showed my mom the pic.
We don't need rails.
Well, I showed my mom the pic to show her how funny it was. I was telling her, like, look at his face.
Mm-hmm. Well, Regal did cock up, so.
Yeah. But
am I the last one to do the tag team elimination chamber predictions?
Tom, did you have a prediction?
Hush, sir, hush.
I'm sorry,
hard
guys.
Hard segue.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This is going to be a clusterfuck of a match. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Tag team elimination chamber matches don't work, period. And then look who you have in it. This match is going to be brutal to watch.
Oh,
it's going to be iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of who wins, holy fuck, this is going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
The writing's on the wall. I hate myself. That's been noted. Like every day I've ever talked to anybody, like I don't like myself. So, with that said, you know what team I think might walk away with the championship.
Carvina Whippleman and his teammate Savioda at Vega.
You got it.
I thought Harvina teamed up with Santina.
Possibly, yes.
I hear Terry Funk in the background. Thought
the only possible way this match could be interesting if Terry Funk did a run in. Fucking 70-year-old Terry Funk does a run in.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure this match is going to be very interesting. It's probably even if it's not good, then it's going to be something that
one of those things that's so bad it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this is not does not look like it's going to be a 5-star match, but it's so important that you can go with it. So
right.
The women's tag titles are what we wanted on it, and even if this match isn't going to be very good, it's still going to be very important and deserves success. So.
On VWP, and I'm gonna interject this real quick. We did a Heart versus Mind thing.
Mm-hmm.
Heart wants Boston Hug. Mind says, yeah. Slow and slower, coming to theaters to you soon.
Mm-hmm. I don't know on this one because honestly, if it was Heart Wants versus Mind Wants on it, the big thing on this one is that Nia Jax versus Men is a specter on this one, and so I don't even think Nia Jax and Tamina wins. So, and this would be basically similar on the SmackDown version. Heart wants the Iconics. Mind says this is going to be Mandy and Sonya's moment to get their push.
Right. So, okay, now we're going to the main event.
I agree. Like, you set your expectations really, really low, like for the lowest possible outcome. So that way, when it's not that, like, we can at least rejoice in, like, at least it wasn't fucking that.
It's like the great message that Marge Simpson taught us. Aim low. Aim so low that no one cares if you get what you want or not. Mm-hmm. And then you get the main event. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and Kofi Kingston for the WWE title.
First, before we get to predictions, this doesn't go on last, right?
I don't know on this one because
I'm asking opinions. Like,
honestly, I think it does go on last on this because I don't see any other match on this one being main event quality. I could see them put the tag team match on last just as the importance factor, but more than likely, I'm assuming the title match, the men's match, goes on last.
Right.
Honestly, I'm going to go on a limb. I think the women's tag team title match main event.
Yeah,
Probably will build that momentum and continue the quote-unquote women's revolution.
Yep. Yeah.
So I'm with Metal Matt.
Yeah. I can see it in those ones because on paper, I'm assuming that they go on first and last like usual. And on the one hand, the more important match is clearly the WWE title match, but that's going to be a very good match on it. And usually you want a good match to go on first. The women's tag team title match is the less important match, but we all are pretty much aware it's not going to be very good. And so you can't have that match be first. But you also can't have it be last either, and I've gone cross-eyed.
Right.
If you want the crowd to get into the pay-per-view and the crowd and the viewers to, oh boy, yeah, the last thing you want to do is put the women's tag team chamber match first.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be a question mark because, honestly, from everything else on this one, what match would you put on last on it if you assume that neither one of the chamber matches should go last? Because Miz and Shane McMahon would go on just because it's a McMahon, but that's not really go on last match.
In fact, I think they lead off with that match.
Yeah, Rousey versus Riot could because it's Ronda Rousey, but that doesn't seem like a go on last match unless you want to have a 30-second Rousey match just so that you have a UFC style main event, but that doesn't seem like a good go on last match.
A UFC main event, but in reversed, where Ronda doesn't get knocked out. Too soon?
Mm-hmm.
I think going back to predictions, I think for the main event or for the men's match, I'm going to predict Daniel Bryan sneaks out and wins the match.
Yeah. Yeah, this seems like a Daniel Bryan retains match, but I'm still going with my hot take here. Kofi Kingston's there as the last person with him, so.
I remember that day so clearly.
Daniel
What are you watching
retains.
in the background? What Raw are you watching? Mox?
That's not me.
Is that Matt?
What?
Matt, what are you watching in the background? It sounds like Raw with Austin and.
I was just watching Raw Homecoming. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. But yeah, this is going to be a good question of a match because it seems like Bryan should win, but I don't know if there's any good matches for Bryan at WrestleMania as well. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think Bryan does win here, but who he faces at WrestleMania is a giant question mark.
Yeah.
Have Bryan win, Riddle come out and smoke the belt.
Have Bryan win and then what?
Matt
Riddle come out and smoke the belt.
No, this is going to be where they bring back RVD.
No, RVD's already signed with Impact, so he's not coming back to WWE.
He did sign with Impact?
Yeah.
Well, for a match.
Yeah, but they said a former world champion was going to come back to Impact, and in a shock of shocks, it was not Austin Aries or Alberto El Patron. And RVD was actually a pretty good signing for him. So,
Apparently,
Okay, there's only one thing that's gotta be played.
Mm-hmm.
You said RVD is coming back.
Yep.
Well, okay, I got a reaction to that.
He forgot to drop the weed off by my house on his way there.
Mm-hmm.
I think they also brought back Sabu, I think.
Yes.
Bring back Sabu too?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're facing
Okay,
the
you know what I
brothers.
think of that? Here's what I think of that. Okay, enough of that.
Yeah.
Pee
Honestly,
Wee Herman, the Pee Wee Herman laugh can go with just about anything.
yes.
That's tonight's educational lesson. So we've met our educational requirements.
Yep.
You could have one-upped it and done Liv Morgan doing her Pee Wee Herman impression.
Liv Morgan does a Pee Wee Herman impression?
A very good one. A very funny one.
Okay, I gotta see
How funny
this.
is it when Liv Morgan jerks off in a porno movie theater?
Oh. Okay, Liv Morgan, Pee Wee Herman.
Mhm.
It's not on YouTube.
Forget where, Instagram or something maybe. I saw a link of it. She does a good Pee Wee Herman.
Mm-hmm.
Does a Pee Wee Okay, well.
Yeah.
And no, not masturbating in a movie theater.
I don't know. That could probably be much more interesting on Instagram than that. So
Well, we all know that, but I was just saying, like, it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez.
What's that with their delinquent character, though? Gillette, the best that men can be.
Well.
All right, time for this championship bullshit. All right, time for this championship bullshit.
Tourette's guy always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
All right, time for this championship bullshit.
I guess he's where Filthy Frank got the idea for his voice.
Yes.
Dad, is that a Mickey Mouse t-shirt?
Mm-hmm.
That's not Mickey Mouse, that's just Skeeter! Oh, shit! Fuck! Bob, say it!
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you know what? I could just see, you know what? Fuck it. I mean, fuck it. Instead of call 911 when a match is going boring, we should hear this.
All right, time for this championship bullshit.
And then Braun Strowman comes out and beats the shit out of both competitors.
Yes. Well, it could work. I mean, Tourette's guy is a fan of the former Chikara commissioner, so he has some connections to wrestling.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There was I want to say, as much as wrestling bets get legitimate, does Nia break the elimination chamber setting thing?
I don't know off the top of my head on these ones because I think that they haven't really done a good break this chamber thing, and I think they're going to save the break one of the chamber ones for the men's match. So, like, it could seem like any one of those 6 guys would do that spot. So, and that's also going to be a tie-in on this one because there's not going to be that much interesting stuff because if you put Kofi Kingston into the chamber, you know you got to have him do some insane stuff off of it. So,
Please don't pull a Kalisto from 2-3 years ago.
mm-hmm.
Guys, I'm stuck. Guys, I'm stuck. I climbed all the way up here. I'm stuck. I'm stuck.
I think Kofi Kingston is better at lucha things. But yeah, it's going to be the question mark where that's just says that SmackDown has a lot of good choices, but also a lot of bad choices where you have the top 5 guys on SmackDown right now, and you can think Kofi Kingston may have the most momentum of them, and he might be the best choice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Though could though given how the WWE does their some Black History Month things, they could be waiting for that one too. Give him this, but later on in the year, give him the tournament victory so he can be called King Kofi Kingston.
Oh no.
Wow.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We know you're listening, WWE. Please do not do that.
Yes.
Well, we know who to blame if it happens. Thanks a lot, Tommy. What do you have to say for yourself?
I'd like to thank my mama and Elvis.
And everyone on the planet, and you forgot something. You forgot everyone on the planet named Al.
Yes. I don't know. How much thanks do you need to give everyone on the planet named Al? I mean, that dude got 4 touchdowns in one game. He had his shine already, so.
5, sir. 5.
Mm-hmm.
If Al Bundy was playing with Tom Brady, he would have never lost a Super Bowl.
Well, the Patriots always did have a weak running game, so it could definitely work there.
No, they didn't. They had Corey Dillon for a while, and he was a beast.
Corey Dillon or Al Bundy.
And you cannot spell elite without Eli.
Yes. But yeah, any other thoughts?
Anytime the name Al comes up, like I go back to the Paul Simon Chevy Chase song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like that just has to be mentioned.
Good song.
But yeah, if everybody has their predictions in for the chamber, I think this is pretty much the rest of the show because we can't keep it off the rails this long. So until next week, this is Whacked Out Wrestling. I'm Thomas S.K. Green. With me is Joey the Caveman and John Roach, and we thank our co-hosts this week from Violent Wrestling Podcast and all of their other podcasts, Prince Moxie Lopez and Metal Matt.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Peace.
For coming out.
I didn't want to be here to begin with.
Yep.
Oh, but you were here and we had a good time anyway.
Today.
Thanks for